Boom. All right, guys. I am starting a little early to test something. All right, so bear with me. Bear with me. Let's see. I want to see if this will play or if I'm going to have to download clips. And I couldn't test it out without being live because it has to be streaming to see. So I'll clip this part out on YouTube if this actually works. I just want to let it play for a minute.
This ain't like putting you on the hot seat. I know we literally sitting inside a fireplace right now, but this ain't.
I just want to see if it's going to clip in and out like it did yesterday. Looks like that should work. Alrighty. Let's see. Looks like it'll work. All right. Now, unfortunately, I cannot just end the stream. So what I am going to do, let me put up a banner. I need a banner. All right. All right, cool. All right, I will be back when we are at the correct start time. Let me see. I'll be back to correct start time. I just had to make sure that will work. I really didn't want to have to go in and download everything. So we will be back. I'll put some music on. Uno momento, por favor, por favor.
Brand new caddy.
What is up, Anae, Risa, Apex, Summer? Appreciate y'all. I had to test something while the stream was live, and I can't stop it and restart the same stream, so my bad.
brand new caddy.
Yeah, Summer Free Will had to die.
Nice job, Katie.
All right, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and y'all know I don't like waiting. Y'all know I don't like, I'm impatient. I'm here, y'all here, we here. All right, cool. Uno momento. How's your day going, everybody? Let's go blue. Yeah, blue. Like maybe a purple top. Second. Oh well, that'll do. So how is everybody's afternoon going? Started a little early. I had to test something out while the stream was live, and I was just gonna wait till 5 o'clock, but I'm impatient. I'm sitting here looking at a computer. It's a nuisance. What's up, Greg? How you doing? So all right. So listen. While we were having the stream the other day, although I think it was a setup, part of me believes it was a setup. People said they wanted to see me react to or like give commentary to the stream from Saturday. I really think people really wanted to vote for part 2. I don't know. It's weird. It's interesting. I don't think too many people gave me a reason. Cause I think one person gave me a shout. What's up, Intellectual Soapbox? Good to see you, man. I think one person gave me a reason as to why they preferred seeing everything else except a part 2. I'm still go ahead and do a part 2. I know that was like at the bottom. Right there with Rashawn, go ahead and quit. I know. I'm just going by the poll. I don't know the reasons for everybody's vote, but again, a couple of people who've been long-time viewers still wanted to see a part 2, so I'm definitely but I'm definitely just trying to have a link up for the people that were part of the stream if they wanted to like clarify any of their points. So, I mean, that's what the link is there for. For the people that were on the panel from Saturday, if they want to clarify their points, I'm going to be clarifying my points and talking about some of their points. And since I'm going to be speaking for them or giving my position on their opinions, they may definitely want to clarify for themselves because, you know, that happens. Yvonne Bryan in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you, sir. All right, so listen, really quickly before I get into it, I do want to just get my overall feeling about the conversation. Y'all tell me how y'all felt about the conversation, what y'all liked, what y'all didn't like. Did you enjoy it? Did you get anything from it at all? I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. I did have a good time. I enjoyed going back and forth about ideas, even if we don't agree. That's just something. I don't know how clear you could have been. You want baby Jesus dead? No, I don't want baby Jesus dead. I'm just saying I would do that if that's on the table. Time machine to assassinate one person, one figure. If that's on the table, Jesus will be my choice. During the stream, I did move it up to Adam. I think I just need to start from the beginning. I think I need to be. I think Tristan said, "He who remains." I need to go back, take the place of Adam or the first man from chapter 1. Anyway, man, appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate hearing that. It's really hard for me to say this, but Jesus was actually the guy that fucked Obama. Okay. All right. But I enjoyed it. The subsequent streams from that were funny. I know Brother Clarence did like a short 1 hour stream about it, in which I was called, and he clarified, I was disrespectful and out of pocket, which then I addressed in my stream, and then he came back and addressed in another stream. So I thought it was fun. I enjoy the back and forth. I even enjoy like the streamception, like the reaction to a reaction to a reaction. I love that. I love that. I love seeing a reaction to a reaction to a reaction. I love it. I don't know why. It's something about me. It's something about me that loves that. Stop it, man. He ain't clout chasing. He got like 4 or 5 times more viewers than I got, or subs. What do you know what I'm talking about? But yeah, I want to get into it, man. I ain't gonna waste too much of y'all's time. I pulled out about 13 timestamps or topics from the conversation that I want to go over. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on any of them specifically, except there was one section that I thought we were really going back and forth on, Jesus versus Moses. I thought that was interesting. But the first one is about interpretation. I'm going to give my commentary, but again, I probably won't deliberate too long on any of the things. If none of the original gentlemen come up to expound on some of their thoughts, or if maybe I say something that triggers one of them from something they said, they might pop up. But otherwise, I'm just going to give my thoughts here. Talking about broke Clarence's cloud chase. I can't stand you, Apex. But man, shout out to Apex, man. Tristan, man, I appreciate you so much. Because if you hadn't talked me into just opening up my computer and doing the fixing the RAM myself, man. Even the problems I've had, some of the stuff I've been able to work through thanks to your guidance. So man, thanks again. Thanks again. Boom, right here.
So, do you? And this ain't like putting you on the hot seat. I know we literally sitting inside a fireplace right now.
Now listen, I know a lot of people, blasphemers, sacrilegious, all that stuff. The reason I had this in the fireplace because I was going to hell. You know what I'm saying? I know there'd be a lot of people. Oh, he's going to hell. He's going to hell. So I had us in the fireplace. Yeah. Now my entire hard drive is getting scraped. The hard drive is getting scraped. Yeah, I know. Thank you, man. Apex help you download more RAM. I don't like the way you said that. I don't even like the way you said that. I know that's a sus question.
To put you in the hot seat right now. But do you believe that there is a proper interpretation of the Bible?
My so-called life, Benjamin Sisko in the building. I gotta watch DS9 again. I gotta watch that again. Is there a proper interpretation of the Bible? Is a great question. I'm gonna let Brother Von in the past Brother Von Eric answer this question.
I really do. But we do have to understand that all revelation comes from God. You see what I'm saying? Not what you made up about it in your mind. We have to trust God to reveal the truth to us, reveal the word to us. You see what I'm saying? But when we start leaning and the word is saying go left, but we kind of figuring it out to say, oh no, it really meant go right. Because see, in the Greek, it meant go right. You see what I'm saying?
Thank you, Nova. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, my so-called life. I know y'all. Okay, you know what? Okay, we back. Okay, we back to playing around. I see. Don't say it, Chad. Don't let them know. All right. What else guy trying to reveal? Wait, why is he wearing a robe in public? I can't stand y'all. I can't stand y'all. I appreciate everybody. Shout out, muted. I muted. I can't stand Apex for not wanting people to let me know so I can see here. I can't. Apex. I'm kicking you out of the Discord. Anyway, what I was saying was that I really think that's one of the problems in the faith system, not any person of faith, the faith system, that there are so many different interpretations. There's so many variations because all the different variations are going to create different understandings and different conclusions that people are going to come to. Like he said, left meant this in Greek, but over here it means right. We're going to have problems because then people are going to go in two separate directions. One person thinks it means left, one person thinks it means right, and y'all go two separate directions, then you're not together anymore. So it creates a lot of division. So having so many different interpretations and understandings is a problem when you're trying to have a group practice. if you know, like I don't know anybody watch Drumline, one band, one sound. If everybody's playing a different song, the symphony, the orchestra, it's gonna sound terrible. It's gonna sound awful. If you were God, you would definitely walk around swinging meat. Who's gonna stop you? Hey, listen. But I think that's a problem, having so many interpretations, even of the same text. But I wanted to clarify though, because I think Bro C gets to something in a minute. Let me skip forward to that. It was at 124:35. 124. All right, here we go. Come on now. So 124, let me refresh. 124:35. Come on now. We were doing so
right,
good.
and that's what I'm saying. Believing in something.
124. All right, we started off well. All right, let me bring it down. It might pop up. Give me a second, y'all. Yeah, it looks good, but it wasn't playing. It was just spinning. It was doing fine for a while. I didn't want to have to try to download everything. I was being lazy. But I did, thanks to somebody's help, and I did help get to finish the timestamps. Yeah, this ain't even starting. No, I'm not restarting my entire computer. Anyway, this thing is tripping. So, Brother Clarence basically said that there's a best interpretation. Like he talked about what's best for the individual. I did not see Rashawn going hard in the paint for Catholicism coming. So I'm getting rid of Jesus. Catholicism, Roman Catholicism came out of Jesus. All of that stems from the same root. That's the same root, man. Same root. So, Bro C says, I can't remember word for word. He said, now the computer's doing this tripping thing. I do think there is a best interpretation for each person. Everybody that is individually coming to a faith practice, there's something that's going to serve you specifically well. You've heard so many people talk about when they read the Bible, they can read the same chapter and get something different out of it. So for each situation you are in your life, for each phase of your life, for each person, there are verses and interpretations that suit you. But as far as a cohesive group and body of people who are striving towards the same thing, you need to have a central interpretation and understanding that all of you are going from. Everybody needs to be paddling in the same direction. And this is still not doing this thing. So give me a second, y'all. I'm going to hell. All right. Let's try this again. Live stream. All right, so now it is playing. Let me reshare my screen. Give me a second. As soon as I shared it in the stream, you already started slowing down. As soon as I started sharing the stream, so this might be the StreamYard problem. I had this before too. So yeah, the other days it was my computer, but right now it seems to be StreamYard. Let me go to Streamable 124:35. I did download a copy into another server. I didn't hit enter. Ooh, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. Yeah, StreamYard is beautiful. All right, that's gonna take a minute. So while that's going and processing, I wonder if it'll let me play it in the meantime. Yeah. Hypnotic, and I see it. While that's going, I want to play the part if I can get it to play. Man, it's gonna take a second. So bear with me, y'all, because I'm going to have to use Streamable instead of YouTube. Hopefully that'll work a little better. It kind of compresses and condenses the data. Since the video was playing earlier, I got lulled into a false sense of security. So I am going to have to put that in the StreamYard. But we should have one interpretation and one dude who is in charge of that interpretation. Let's give him a comically large hat so everyone knows he's the guy. No, it can't be that simple. We tried that before. That's not the best way to do it. Everybody should have access to it for their own personal faith practices. But as far as a system that serves a large body of people, you need to have a central understanding. You do need to have a central understanding. Because as we've seen, the denominations and the branches, it gets out of control. Anybody that's watched Loki season 2, the branches get out of control. You end up with far too many branches, far too many to tend to, and it overtakes everything. And right now, you can't have too many groups of people. I mean, because I talk about the Bryant triplets all the time: Greg Bryant, Von Bryant, and Jamal Bryant, who was disavowed by Von Bryant on strength. 3 totally different types of Christians, like the way their temperament, the disposition, what they're willing to say, what they're willing to do. There are different ways of being, even within the faith practice. You need some sort of uniformity on some level. It doesn't have to be like people dress alike. It doesn't have to be like people say all the same words, but you need something, a common thread. And just saying Jesus when Jesus means so many different things to so many different people, that's not good enough. We have to purge some of the sects. Listen, if I'm willing to purge Jesus, I'm definitely willing to purge some of the denominations. Definitely willing to. All right, see how long this video is going to take. Ooh, it's going to be a minute. All right, let me try it again anyway. While that's doing that, I really thought I downloaded this earlier. My bad, guys. I let you down. I blew it. All right, let's see. $124.35.
On things get messed up. Brother Clarence, you want to jump in?
Well, I just was I want to answer Yellow's question. Yeah, I think there's a way to interpret the book, and that is, see, in most cases, when you receive a book in our society today, when you buy a book, you're just buying the book, right? And you read the book. And then you can read the book and you can get your understanding from the book. But these books like the Bible, Quran, the Torah, they're books that need guidance have to come with it.
Mm-hmm.
A understanding have to come with it. It's just like you're around your father. Your father may say something and the other person, one of your friends next door will hear your father say something and that person would say, "Oh my God." You're like, "What you talking about? He just telling me to take out the trash." You know, he's Haitian. That's how he talks. You know what I mean? Or whatever, right? That's just how he speaks, you know. And so you have a better understanding because you spent more time around your father. So if your father would say something, you will be closer to his original meaning than a person that just came off the boat and just met your father and then tried to understand what he was trying to say. It might take them a little longer. So what that person might do is go to you and say, "Hey, this is your father. Why don't you tell me what your father said so I could get a better understanding? I could get it quicker," right? So that's what I mean when I'm talking about the Bible. I mean, everybody's not going to understand it the same way, right? And it's so many, for every one person you got trying to say, "You know what? I'm going to try and learn this." People say this is the right way to live. This is the right way to do things. I'm going to try to learn it. For every one person, in my opinion, I believe there's at least 5 to 7 people that's saying, "People listen, people follow this. So I need to learn this so that I can use it to be able to manipulate and move people around, because this, whatever's in his book, moves people around."
Mm-hmm.
So let me, so that therefore, if you don't know the real from the fake, how will you be able to tell?
No, that was a good point that he made there. There are a lot of people who will see the fact that the Bible can be used to manipulate and change people's lives, change their minds, the way they think, the way they feel about things. They're going to use it for evil, which was kind of my point. The whole point about eating Jesus was that very same thing. Let them find something else, because I don't know if anything else, and forgive my offense to the Christians. And again, this somebody was talking to me the other day. I by definition, I am blaspheming when I'm talking about eating Jesus. I actually am. But to anybody who's a Christian and like has a very strong, like crystallized feeling about their faith practice and they can't hear things that are antithetical to that, like this may not be, I may not be the person. I may not be your person. And it's okay. What I'm going to say though is there's a okay, I may not say it, but he's right that people do manipulate. He's right there, and it's always going to happen. And even if we got rid of Jesus, they're going to use something. But the Bible is so, I would say, convoluted. The Bible is so convoluted, and we could have a stream. I promise you, I have tons and tons of notes. Matter of fact, I'll just give you one. I'll give you one to show what I'm talking about. Convoluted and contradictory. Some people are like fundamentalists, where they believe the Bible is the inerrant, like there are no errors, there are no fallacies in the Bible. It is word for word, literally what God wanted us to hear and understand. For me, that's a problem. Anybody that believes that, I have a problem with your understanding and belief system. It's extremely problematic, and I'm gonna show you why. I got to pull this up, the Bible app. I've been studying the last couple of nights because some of the things that were said. One of the things that people keep saying, like I know Brother Vaughn said it at least once, and most people have heard this: God is not a man that he should lie. God is not a man that he should lie. Almost everybody believes that God does not lie. Like people that believe in God does not lie. Cannot lie. There's nothing but truth, nothing but love in God. When we were in the Bible part about Adam and Eve, we talked about the serpent telling the truth and God lying because they didn't die. And that's always debated. But I found something that really it'd be hard to debate. So Ezekiel 14:9. Ezekiel 14:9. In the King James Version, which is the authorized version, the one that most people lean on. And if the prophet be deceived when he has spoken a thing, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet. I, the Lord, me, God, the Lord, I have deceived, lied to, tricked that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand upon him and will destroy him from the midst of my people, Israel. So I know the Bible, one Bible verse says God is not a man that he should lie. And everybody states that, everybody quotes it. But there's a Bible verse right here in the Bible that says, I deceive people. I will deceive a person. If the prophet be deceived, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet. I did it. Me. He put his name on it. So it's interesting. That's why I have a problem with Bible literalists, because if you find a verse that says one thing, like Jesus himself said, I come not to bring peace but a sword. But in another verse, in another part of the Gospels, I come not to bring sword but peace. So it's like Burger King. There's enough in it that you can have it your way. And that's where there's a lot of problems, contradictory, and a lot of things that people get lost in, because you can make it say almost anything you want it to say. That's a serious problem with any faith practice. So like Brother Clarence said, you need somebody to help guide you through it. And you need a system. You need a standard, because something that can say anything, that it can be used to justify anything. Like it was used to justify slavery. It's been used to justify genocide. It's been used to justify quite a bit. And that's a serious problem. That's a serious flaw. And that's when I went into that old dumb God thing, that's a problem. Saying God wanted this kind of problem. I can't believe that. Who are you blaspheming against? If it's Jesus, he literally told you he's okay with it in his own word. Yeah, I'm just talking about, I said the dictionary definition of the word blaspheme. The dictionary of the word blaspheme. Blaspheme is to have like an irreverent speech about something that's taken seriously. Now I looked up irreverent, and that's like, it's basically saying taking something unseriously when everybody else takes it serious. Something just that simple. Going through the adding the dictionary definitions is blasphemy. So the fact that I take it so loosely, like Brother Vaughn said, people can use such verbiage, such loose verbiage, and I was blaspheming, and I'm okay with that. I'm not tripping. I understand your heart, and I know dimes have bridges, so I try to smooth out your words. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, she run a game. She run a game. Hey, y'all, just got off work. How's everyone? What's up, Dawn? How you doing? This Jesus bring the sword thing is taken out of context, but everything can be taken out of context because nothing's specific enough. Nothing is specific enough for us not to be able to take it out of context. Sure, you blaspheme, but Jesus said it's cool to blaspheme against the Son of Man, word for word. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm not trying to argue the rightness or wrongness of blaspheming. I'm just saying that I did blaspheme. I'm just saying I did do the thing. I wouldn't even care if Jesus didn't. He wasn't cool with it. Doesn't even matter. Now we're gonna get to some fun part. We're gonna get to the fun. Where is that part at? Y'all should have fun with this one because this was fun. Now, Brother Vaughn, if you are still here, all right, we're gonna go for let me see, 1, 2. I'm gonna make fun of you just a little bit. Oh shoot. All right. Make fun of you just a little bit. Mr. He said in the building, what's up? Driving home from the plantation, asks what's up. Blasphemy is considered one of the unforgivable. Absolutely. Blaspheming against the Holy Spirit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Is concerned. This is a hypothetical situation that we're presenting, gentlemen, or we're just saying we would delete Jesus.
I mean, listen, I have Brother Vaughn, I thought that was hilarious that you asked that question. Was it a hypothetical? I was like, what? Of course it's a hypothetical. There are no time machines. But yeah, that was funny. I thought that was funny. But I want to let that play because it was something that came up in a couple of seconds, I believe. I have a time machine built, and I'm trying to use you gentlemen to make my decision whether I go back or not, Brother Vaughn. Right. So yes, it's not hypothetical anymore. This is a very literal conversation, and I'm going back tomorrow unless you guys can talk me out of it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm don't worry, Vaughn. I'm gonna make sure that Arshawn can unlock his seatbelt.
There's something in there, Greg Bryant, that says something like blasphemy against the Holy Ghost is unforgivable. I know I've seen it, but again, I don't try to retain scripture like word for word or like chapter and verse because I can always kind of look it up later on if I need it. But I know I saw it. I know I've seen it, and I thought that was strange. That's the unforgivable sin. I always thought that's why I was like, that's the one that's unforgivable. Like that's kind of weird. Like there's some heinous things that people do, and that's the one that's unforgivable. Like, it's kind of weird for me, but that's a me thing. That's why the Bible is one of the best-selling self-help books of all time. You can't twist it. You can twist it in any direction you want. Yes, sir.
Same thing with Von Erich when we run up on Moses. I'm not gonna let them unbuckle their seatbelt. Don't worry.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Like I said, what time do the bus leave? Like Fortnite. What time do the bus leave? We there.
See if we can get a little forward. Come on now. I don't know why this thing. Yeah, he's got a time machine on deck. All right, cool. It's doing something. We'll get at a couple seconds. While that's working, and I wanted to say this. I know people had a hard time with this. Like immediately hearing like, oh, you would go back and kill baby Jesus. As soon as people hear that, like it triggers something. Like people have been having this fondness and this love and this personal relationship with Jesus for such a long time that it's hard to hear the words. So again, for me, it's a concept.
I want to do some yeeting. I just don't want to do those two people. Like I said, I land in the middle.
Boom. Okay. So eliminating Jesus is not about punishing him for anything he did himself. I tried to make myself as clear as I could about that. And I came up with an analogy that might help people understand where my logic is coming from. Because I think we all understand this. In the United States, there probably are more schools and school systems that are failing than are actually succeeding and teaching the kids to what the supposed standards are. Most school systems in urban centers, I'll say, are failing the children, like public schools. Most of them are failing. And if those kids are failing, not reaching the test scores, not passing, not graduating to the next level, not graduating high school, if those outcomes and benchmarks are not met and measured, nobody goes around praising the leadership. Nobody goes around praising the school superintendent when the children are failing, when they're not able to graduate on time, when they're not passing their state mandated standardized tests, all those things. Nobody goes around saying the superintendent is wonderful, the superintendent is great, when the children are failing. So some of y'all know where I'm going with that. Ours, in my state, is failing. The schools are constantly getting F's. School on the school report cards, F's. Nobody's talking about how good the superintendent is. As a matter of fact, what happens is the superintendent gets fired quite often, routinely and repeatedly. He's not the one failing grades. He's not the one not able to read at his grade level. He's not the one failing math equations. He's not the one not coming to school and having attendance problems. He's not the one having behavioral issues. All the people that are having the problem are not the ones being punished, because you know what? The teachers don't even get fired when the students fail. It's the leadership. It's the head who is responsible for the outcomes of other individuals entirely. He'll lose his livelihood. She'll lose her livelihood, because we turned her before. We Dan Good, Charlisa something. She had mental health problems because she got stressed out from all of the weight of burden of all the children falling on her shoulders. It's a lot. Leadership is a lot. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So we don't blame the children. We don't blame the children. Although the children still suffer their own consequences, the head carries the burden of the performance of all of the followers. If the teachers are terrible, if the students are terrible, if all the schools are crumbling, the head, that's the person who gets their head chopped off. So that's the principle behind my removing Jesus. If all of the followers of Jesus are failing, it's even baked into the Bible. Broad is the path to destruction. Most of y'all go to hell. Well, if even the Bible knows that most of y'all are failing, and most of y'all are failing, and even the churches are failing, and great dying off and great falling away, at what point do we look at the leadership? And I'm not going to separate Jesus from God, because according to the triune, Jesus is God. So why are we not looking at the superintendent? Why are we not looking at the Christian superintendent? Why is his position not in question? That's where my whole logic comes from. He may not have done the thing that we're upset about. He's not the one failing the test. He's not the one not able to read at his level. He's not the one not getting an F on his school. But he's the head. He's the head. So that's where that's where the logic came from. Boo. Let me see. These people already feel objectively good about doing routine tasks. And once someone is good, they can do no evil. So lots of Christians, evil is excused when it bypasses religious standards. The Bible religion shouldn't have any just said Christian, like any ideology. I think people in modern times don't understand who Christ is due to lack of information and understanding. Plus the Bible we have been tampered with. Okay, yeah, it's been like the fact that we have two origin stories back to back in the beginning. That should like tip people off. Something's off. But when they fail, it's let me get at that superintendent. Absolutely. When the kids are failing, when the schools are failing, people look at the superintendent. They don't go to each individual student. Each individual student has their own path and burden and consequences. But when multiple kids are failing, they start graduating up the problem. Oh, so there's 5 kids in this class that are not passing. Let's look at maybe the children and their family. Oh, 20 kids in this class are failing. Let's look at the teacher. Oh, we have 20 teachers who we have to look at for failing. Now we got to look at the principal. Oh, we have 20 principals that are failing. Now we need to look at the superintendent. There's a hierarchy there. And eventually, enough problem, you're going to look at the superintendent. We've had 2,000 years of problem. That's all I'm saying. We've had 2,000 years of problem. I think we could look at the head. I think we could look at the superintendent. When you blaspheme against Jesus, you're blaspheming against the Holy Spirit. For the Father, the Son, exactly. The triune, the Trinity. Absolutely. The Holy Spirit will be a hell of a tequila brand. All puns intended. So, Mr. Brian, didn't Jesus say he is not equal to God? He did. That's where I go back to the contradictory and convoluted nature of the Bible. because he said both things. Like, why does thou calleth me good? None's good but the Father. But you're also the Father. So it's very confusing. It's very confusing. If you can't separate, if you have to remove the literal interpretation and understanding of a lot of this stuff. If you have a literal interpretation, a lot of this stuff will be confusing. And that's not even talking about the language differences, the transliteration, the translation, all of that stuff. I mean, man. Vaughn Bryant, that is very Catholic interpretation. Why does he make a distinction between himself and the Spirit and say it's okay to blaspheme against him, but not the Spirit? Yeah. Which one? The school superintendent? I hope this is what you're talking about. Yeah. If this is, yeah, I mean, that's what I thought about, because we understand the principle of what I'm doing, but I know the language of killing Jesus is triggering, which is also funny to me in a weird way, because Jesus was killed. And people are mad that I'm killing Jesus when he was already killed, and it's like it's funny for me. There's some kind of irony, the sweet irony in there. There's some kind of sweet irony in, like, I'm killing somebody that's already been killed, and it bothers people. But I get it. It's an idea in people's head, and I can't kill the idea in your head. The idea in your head, the love you have, and everything your relationship has with Jesus, I can't change any of that. I can't alter that at all. I cannot alter that at all. Boo, boo, boo. Let me see. So what we had before Jesus. Now, I thought this was a good question. Let me get to it. Whoever, JP, I think it was, I almost said Jordan Peterson. Whoo, JP, the aspiring matriarch. Let me see. Where is it? What we had before Jesus. Was that not it? Okay, I'm going to let this play for a quick second, or scan.
Two of the two brothers, because I'm kind of like, when man
I
put
did not
their
put a
hands on
timestamp
things,
on this one
things
for some
get
reason.
corrupted. So, I completely understand, when you say faith is a certain echelon that a lot of people just don't have. For me, I'm a little bit different. I think this is where the "it depends" is supposed to go. People use "it depends" a lot, but I think this is where it goes. Religion is where it depends. You're supposed to take a little from here, a little from there. You're supposed to make a really good salad with religion, because it's all just good stories, in my opinion, of course. But again, if I was getting in this time machine, I think my seatbelt would come
There
off
we go.
when we get to somebody like King James.
All right. So while that's low, what did we have before they gave us Jesus and religion? Hold up. So while that's loading up, JP asked this question. I thought it was a great question, because not that we haven't heard it before, but it brings up something that a lot of people don't know. I was watching a stream, and actually an older stream, I think it was about 3 months back, where even Brother He said, when he had heard about the Christianity was in Africa before the transatlantic slave trade, he's like, he had just found that out. And again, this is like 3 months ago. A lot of people don't know, again, Christianity was in a region, and like people from Africa could reach that region at one point. Like, they were all close together. That wherever Israel is now, it's kind of like that Silk Road path. Information and goods exchanged across Europe, Asia, and Africa for centuries before. Let me see. Sorry, somebody came up. I can't see it because it's behind something. Oh, you know what? Forget you. What up, Mike? But so in Africa, Christianity again, and even in Abraham, because somebody put you should kill Abraham. B9 Nizzle, shout out to B9. He said you should kill Abraham, Father Abraham, the first person with the first covenant. They said he fled into Egypt. So that's how close a lot of these stories took place. Like, they just went across the road and got into Egypt. Like, they were a few days travel from Egypt, which is the tip of Africa. So Africa had access to a lot of this knowledge and understanding, or stories and narratives. A lot of people believe that the Bible is highly shaped by some of the culture there. Jesus is allegedly shaped off of the story of Horus or something like that. Some people say it's shaped off of the Greek Socrates. So there are a lot of influences that got exchanged across cultures between Europe, Asia, and Africa. So what did we have before they gave us Jesus is a loaded question, because who's the we? The Black Americans may have gotten a lot of our Christianity through the roots of slavery, but that's not where all Black people in all of the world got their Jesus from. So it's a very complicated question. And now that a lot of people are removed from slavery and like Reconstruction, Jim Crow, if you come into the knowledge of Jesus now, is it the same as getting it as an enslaved person? Are people truly getting it free, or do you have to be removed from the systems and places that where you once were enslaved? I don't know. That's a exercise, and that's a thought. I don't know. Does it ever become healthy for you to engage in Christianity if you were once forced to adopt it as an enslaved person in your lineage? I don't know, but it's something to think about. It is the eggshell, the egg white, and the egg yolk. It's all an egg. You never just say the yolk or the shell. You say eggshell, egg white. And so it is with God. 3 aspects, 1 being. Okay. Alexandria is an apostolic see and is in Africa. Okay. So there's that. But I thought that question was good because I know for a long time I didn't know, or I never thought of Christianity as being possible for Africans until I did some of the research myself too. And I'm like, Ethiopia, I have Ethiopians in my city and they're very Christian, and they did not get it through the slavery here in the United States. They brought it with them as immigrants. They brought Christianity because they practiced Christianity in Ethiopia and the surrounding countries. So it's everybody that we know, everybody that we see did not get their religion from the slave master. So that's important to note. And now the time has passed. Most black people we're not enslaved persons. So what does it mean though, psychologically, to receive it? Are we receiving it as free people, or are we still like some sort of traumatic slave syndrome? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I think for everybody it's going to be different. So I really don't understand. But I do know that there were faith systems other than the monotheistic systems. There were faith systems other than the polytheistic systems. Some systems probably just didn't even have a deity. They just believed that everything was divine, and then just everything has a spirit. Everything has its own spirit, including a rock. There's a rock spirit. So I really can't say. I think there was everything before we had Jesus, but I think there's also going to be everything still, because right now I would argue, like even like how the chat is going back and forth on certain points, astrology. So even how the chat is going back on certain points, I believe even Christianity is multiple religions, but because it's going under one name, because people practice it so differently. People believe it so differently. One person's, their description of their God and their feelings about their God are so dissimilar to the next person. They're essentially different religions. One has a requirement that they sacrifice their life and give themselves into duty and service, while the other one, they still get to live however they want to. To me, those are different faith systems, where one has no requirement except, I say I'm forgiven. The other one has, I have to serve humanity. To me, that's a different belief. That's a different faith. That's a different religion. But those two people will sit side by side on the same pew in the same church on the same Sunday. So for me, it's complicated. But I think it's a good question to actually think about. True. So what up, homie? You came up right in time.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? We right into it. All right, cool. I just want to let you know, man. We put the rims, so we put the wheels on the time machine. So we got the Pirellis that you ordered, 22 inches.
Okay.
So yeah, we got that going on, and then we gonna spin it around the block, and then man, whenever you're ready to go, we can go.
Let's go.
We can get to work.
Yeah. Hey, but can we make a pit stop and get rid of Jada too? Like just based on that poll, I think we need to stop like at when Tupac died. We need to take out Jada when Tupac died, and then we can go back to Jesus.
That's cool. It's on the way.
Yeah, I mean that way the story can always be that she died when Tupac died, and she could die happy.
True.
She deserves happiness. I like how Amish and Catholicism are both Christianity. Yeah. If you stands the time machine, I'm out. All right, so listen, we're gonna get to the dumb God section. And Dr. Nakumbe has sent a question that I did not get to answer during the stream, or I forgot. But I'm gonna answer it during this. Then we start having a dumb God. Then we get into the dumb God paradox, because he makes people that he knows are flawed. He gives them the thing that he knows is going to make them sin. Wait, Summer, are you saying can we swap Jesus and Jada? Oh, Jada and Tupac swap. Oh, okay. I was like, yo, Summer, we about to swap Jada for Jesus? Woo, that's messed up. But you swap Jada and Tupac. We could probably make that happen.
I'm with it.
We could probably make it happen. We can figure out a way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tupac be married to Will Smith? No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. All right, man. Whew. Bear with me and my man, Tupac swap for Jesus. That'd be Tupac swap for Jesus. That would be something. Now that would be something. Tupac Jesus. That'd be interesting. Of course, it's that one to load now. Boo! So I'm waiting for that to load, because it did load the last time. I just let it play, and it just popped up when I was talking. When I talked about dumb God, I got timestamps.
You got a
it's
timestamp on the video?
Yeah, and I can tell you where to go. Tell me where to go. Tell me where to go.
See if I can pull it out.
Go dumb, 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 dumb. You want me to put the link in the back of you?
I got you. Give me 1 sec.
That looks like Windows. Well, I'm trying to share the link to YouTube. Why is that? That's weird. Huh. That's different. He gives them the serpent that's going to lead them to the sin. He then punishes them for eating the fruit that he placed in the garden that he knew that they were going to eat. Then he's going to send another version of himself to die, to be crucified and tortured, to get rid of the sin that he planted in the garden to be. Then we got dumb God. And see, I don't want dumb God. I want a smart God. If I'm going to have a supreme being, I really want one that has more common sense than this. So if Adam is the person that he's given to govern and have dominion over the garden, and he's going to give a tree that is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life, which grants immortality, because that's at the end of chapter 3. If I'm going to put that there, I'm also going to tell them something more than, if you eat from this tree, you shall surely die. And then they don't die. So the assumption that why did I make that voice?
is
That
that if they eat from this tree, they
So
shall die
disrespectful.
eventually. But they would have had to already die eventually, because at the end of the chapter, it says, if you eat from the tree of life, they'll live forever. So there is no penalty if they don't die immediately. So again, I really don't want to get into like dumb God territory. I want smart God. Man, because it's like that paradox right there is so problematic for me. Because like, okay, you eat from this tree, you should surely die. But there's another tree that has everlasting life attached to it. So I could go ahead and eat the fruit knowing that you said I would surely die, because they didn't die immediately. Run over to the everlasting life tree, eat from that, and then that makes God a liar, because he just said you shall surely die, and then you eat from the fruit that lets you live forever. That's to me, that's weird. Like to me that's not logical. To me that's like a poor writing. Like the writer who wrote that story just left in some flaws. Like we watch like Marvel all the time. It's like, oh, that was dumb. Well, why didn't they do this? Or why would they press that button right there and not like some of that? Like that's a writing thing. That's not a God thing. So I think sometimes we have writers that are dumb, and they make God sound dumb because of the way they wrote something, and we hang on to it as if it's truth. Like that's my thing. That's how I come from. I'm not saying God. I don't think God is as dumb as to say, hey, you're going to die if you eat this fruit. They don't die. And then there's also another tree they can eat from to live forever.
That would be dumb. How could he forget that he had a second tree there that they could live forever? Because he remembered it in the very next chapter, chapter 3. Oh shoot, let's kick them out before they eat from the tree of life. I guess that would have made him a liar. That's weird. That's strange to me. And I'm okay thinking that the writer of Genesis chapters 2 and 3 is not as bright or didn't pay attention or nobody cared. I'd rather think that than think that the God that made all this amazing complexity, that he also forgot that he had a tree of everlasting life there. That would be weird for me. Like, okay, you're like, that's an idiot savant type thing. You're a genius here, but then you're like Ben Carson, brilliant surgeon, but then you're a complete moron politically. Like, I don't want God to be like that. He could be. I don't know. I don't know him. We've never had that conversation, but it's problematic. I'd rather think that God's a genius. I'd rather think that God is complete, utter genius. And there are things that we can't comprehend. But if there's something I can understand and it's stupid, I can't accept that as God. I have to reject that. Where are you at with the shades?
So I was going to say this because you almost kind of setting, how can I put it? Setting him up for failure by thinking that he's a genius or he's perfect. So I get what you mean by the dumb God paradox, right? I get what you mean. But I think thinking that he's a genius and that he know what he's doing is the problem. I think the ability to conceptualize that he can make a mistake is more palatable because smart people make mistakes all the time. You know what I'm saying? People who are teachers make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? You was talking about that earlier. Mechanics make mistakes. People who have the knowledge and people who have the ability make mistakes. So I would feel better thinking that he made a mistake. Because like you said, I wouldn't want to, I can get how that could, you know, I can see how that could twist somebody's bonnet. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, them same people probably wouldn't be able to acknowledge that he makes mistakes either. Or that he was wrong. Because I wouldn't want to put that level of perfection or genius on nobody. Because nobody is like that. No human is like that. So why would we be able to hold a deity to that standard? You know what I'm saying?
And I was going to speak to that, Shags. I was actually going to speak to that because here's my actual closest. It's not even conceptualization. It's actually like an open-ending question because I don't know what or how God is. God could be a man. God could be a woman. God could be genderless. God could be everything. Like every piece of matter in this universe could be substance of God, of the actual being. Like if you cut me, like the egg, Von Bryant's thing about the egg yolk, and the egg white, eggshell, egg yolk, egg white. All of that is part of the egg. Like what if all of this, all of us, is a part of God? I don't know that that's not the way it is. I also don't know that we're not like cell, like the plant. Each planet is not a cell in some organ in God. I don't know. I don't know what our relationship is to the things that we're a part of, to the universe, to what the universe is, to the part, to the what's beyond the universe. I don't know. I do not know. I can only guess, and then I try to use the frameworks that we have, and we say God. God to me means whatever we're a part of that's bigger than this. Whatever created this, whatever's controlling this, if there's a control at all. Because to Yella's point, when I'm talking about mistakes, I don't know. Here's the way my mind works. I don't want to say that God makes mistakes. So whatever the driving force of this is, I don't want to say that it makes mistakes because I could see the perfection of the creation being that it's in creation in perpetuity. Something that is a perpetually regenerating system. Not just the earth, because even if the earth would pass away, like the universe would still keep spinning. Like we may not be as important as we think we are. Like, but that the universe and the stars and the rebirth, things explode and they come together, they coalesce and then they form new stuff and stuff keeps happening. That may be the system that we find ourselves in. That may be the thing that's in a perfect, That may be the perfect way it's supposed to be. We're just here experiencing a fraction of that. I can't say that that's not what we're here for. So I don't even want to say he's making a mistake because I don't know. I don't know enough to determine a mistake or not. But within us, but when we start putting frameworks on it, like the Bible, like, okay, this is how the universe came into being, and I have steps, and then I can start making determinations based on my understanding. I was like, okay, well, if you do this before this, well, then that doesn't make any sense. Logically, anybody that's rational wouldn't do that. So then we'd have to get to dumb God or it would have to be so what does it say? So crazy, like crazy, like a smart, brilliant, like a fox or something like that. I can't, but there's sometimes things seem so stupid, but they're actually brilliant. We'd have to come up with some kind of weird thing like that, which is why I think it doesn't make any sense because you just are not smart enough to perceive it. Like, then there's that thing. And it's like, that's possible, but some of this stuff is probably unlikely. It's more likely that we don't understand the nature of God to know that what the perfection is, but it's not this story. Like, this story is not what the perfection is. There's something that the perfection is that this story just played into some way, but we're ascribing this to the actual reality, and it's not. I can't accept this story as the way God will move. Like, people seem to be more forgiving when people question God. Why did you take a loved one? Then the question both. Why did you take a loved one? Then question you ask. Both are questioning God. Yeah, I think it's a little different though. And what I said was inflammatory. I'm killing somebody's God. Like, killing somebody's God and saying I would do it and do it gleefully. I can understand. I mean, just to analogize Brother Von Bryan, because Brother Von Bryan during the stream said that's like, he's like why wouldn't I get mad? Like, that's like calling my mom a bitch. And I was like, dang, that's how you took it? Like, I mean, but that's serious. Like, that's I'm taking it seriously and personally. What's up, Jury? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Ty Lieber. What up? What up? Ty Liebs. What up?
I was going to say, from what I'm seeing and hearing now, God is a woman.
Here comes it. Here it comes.
What?
No, go ahead. Please continue. Please.
I mean, look at how the Bible read out to you. Jealous, spiteful, need attention, need praise, need validation, need followers, and don't take responsibility for what happens because of them. Vain, want to be seen, want to be known. I mean, that's just, it's just my theory.
Here we go.
Give her of life, taker of life. Yeah.
Yeah. And Von Bryan also said something else too. Like, the Bible explicitly states that Jesus was born to be sacrificed for the sins. It was predicted in the Old Testament that's what would happen. So they use Isaiah and a lot of other prophets to talk about what would happen to Jesus. So even if I were to go back in time, the narrative probably just would have been rewritten to say that, like, a traveler from a far off time is the one that would yeet our Savior to. So, I mean, it would just be something like that. So, you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't. I don't know. It's a thought experiment, but it's interesting where people take the thoughts. It's interesting where people take the thoughts. Like, where I was going with it was Von Bryan said that God would, no matter what, God wouldn't allow anything to happen other than, and I can't remember how he stated it, but God wouldn't allow anything to happen other than what he willed to happen. So whatever, if I was going to be allowed to actually eat baby Jesus, it would have worked out so that the narrative could still be sustained. Like, because he could still be, instead of being an adult martyr and sacrifice, he would have just been a child sacrifice. You still could have hung in a faith system on baby Jesus if he really believed he was the Savior. He just couldn't establish himself through miracles. But belief is what belief is. It doesn't take a lot if you want to believe. I was not with what? You was not with me saying what? You were not with me saying what? What couldn't I say? Actually, the modern woman and the modern man are the same. Spending 23 hours per day shaming and blaming each other for accountability. What's up, Scam? Likely. Good to see you. 12 legions of angels will smoke your ass. I mean, maybe. You never know. You never know until you try. And the time machine is almost complete. Time machine is almost complete. But
he still got yeeted though. He still got yeeted.
Yeah, he got yeeted.
He still got yeeted, y'all. It did not happen. Like, I don't know if we misremember. He still got yeeted. So all that who was gonna do what, they still got him. So yeah, it's
that's why, like, for me, I can't really tap into the feeling of like if somebody did it sooner. I can't tap into it like a fervor about that because it's like you said, he still got killed. Like, he got killed.
Yeah.
Does win? How much does win change the situation?
Right.
We don't even know.
So,
we don't even know.
It's like if I finish 96th on Fortnite, and if I finish in second on Fortnite, I still got yeeted. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
but it's interesting. And to the dumb God thing, I know Dr. Nakumbe said, and I can't put the comment up because it was from the last stream, and I didn't address it, and I can't ask the guys. I can ask you, but he said dumb or strategic, dumb or minimal in talking points, like a parent that gives a rule because I said so. End of convo. And the parental thing came up quite a bit. The parental thing came up quite a bit, so I actually wanted to touch on that a bit because that was the analogy. And this is why I get back to dumb God, like not even dumb God. This would be cruel God. So everybody, like, I have an example where I have a child and I tell them not to touch something. I set something before my child to test their temperament, their disposition. Will you touch the thing I said do not touch? The problem with that part I don't have a problem with. The problem is what comes on the back end. You are damning your children if they do the thing that you set in front of them to test their temperament and disposition, to see if they're obedient children. On the back end of that, you curse them for the remainder of their life, their children's children, and every child through the rest of your lineage that you've created. You damn all of them to a worse existence than they would have had before you set them up. And at the end of which time, through that cursed existence, if they do not get right with you, they die and have an eternal tormented life. They never can escape torment. If you would do that to your children, like, because we have to take it through to its logical conclusion. I'm setting something before my child to tempt them and see if they're going to be obedient. But if they're not, I'm going to make them suffer the rest of their natural life. And then after their natural life, I'm going to put them in a torment in hell. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's why when I say dumb God, that's where that feeling comes from. Because if that's the supposition, I'm going to because I have a nephew, love him dearly. When he was a kid, yes, I probably did test his temperament sometimes or see what he was capable of or what he would do. I remember one time when he said, I want to stay up. And I'm like, nah, you need to go to bed. And he was like, listen, I can get up in the morning. I tested him. I was like, okay, we'll see how you perform in the morning. He got up in the morning, handled his business. And every day after, he handled his business except for a few times. But had he not have gotten up, you know what I wouldn't have done? I wouldn't have beat him. I wouldn't have beat him every day. And I wouldn't have said, finally, when you die after beating you every day, I'm going to make sure you go to hell if I had the power to do so. Where's the love in that? That's unnecessarily cruel. For you ate some fruit that I said not to eat, you're going to suffer the rest of your natural life. And after your natural life, you're still going to suffer. That's weird. Like, that's weird. Like, and I can accept that that's weird from my understanding as a human. But if that's not weird for your God, like,
and I'll take it a step back further from what you said. It's probably better how you did it because y'all had an understanding. He understood the consequences behind him making this deal. What would happen if he didn't do what was said? The weird part is that these tests was given to people who didn't know no better. That's like me doing that with a toddler That's why when the examples was given, that's like, I'm not doing this with a teenager. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing this with a preteen. I'm doing this with a toddler who has no concept of right or wrong, good or bad. The only reason they like me is because I give them stuff and I wipe their ass and I wash them and make them feel good. But they don't know why I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They just know it's happening. And then for me to turn around and put the responsibility of the rest of their species in their hands, because I said don't eat the donuts and they grab one. And now it's crazy as hell is that they tell you an apple a day keep the doctor away. They encourage you to eat apples now too. It's crazy as hell. Nah, just random 420 thought.
Yeah. Now, Greg, here's where I get pedantic. See, the fact that we have a God we're anthropomorphizing a concept. Who else has a God? What else has a God? Do rocks have a God? Do trees have a God? Do dogs have a God? Does God have a God? The fact that we're even conceptualizing God, that's a human phenomenon. Now, what I was doing was I wasn't ascribing human feelings to God here, because I didn't say what God felt. I didn't say that God feels a way. I was saying God's behavior is weird. What I was doing was judging God through a human lens, and that's problematic because I can't have the mind of God, so I can only look at it from a human perspective. Now, I don't know how he would feel. I can't even guess how he would feel. But we also believe, Greg, if you're a Christian, you believe that God loves you, right? That's ascribing a human feeling to God. Like, it's in this conversation, you cannot. It would be weird to not have some kind of human. Yeah, I'm judging God, but I'm judging God from a human lens because that's the only lens with which we have to judge God. The only reason we have a God or you have a God is because you're human. We haven't found dogs pawing, like making paw God marks. Like, we are the only entities that we know of on this planet that have a God. So we're human. So there's a human construction of a God concept. That's the only way that happens. Now, for you to say, I think you're ascribing human feelings to God. If I said God cared about his children, that's ascribing human feelings to God. If I said God wanted to have a connection with me, God wanted to have a relationship with me, that's me saying I'm ascribing human feelings to God. What I was doing was looking at God's behavior, his reported behavior, through a human lens. It's slightly different. I believe God created everything. It's his to do with as he pleases. So you're also ascribing human gender to God. I take Jesus at his word that he was the Son of God and follow his examples. But you don't have Jesus's word. You have third-party reports of Jesus's word. So you don't even have Jesus's word. Like, when we actually look at stuff in a granular level, the entire thing is problematic. But, I just wanted to address that. What up, Bree? It's all good. What up, Bree? How do we feel about killing teenage Jesus? Teenagers are universally assholes. I can't remember how old he was, but I heard at one point in the book, I think it's the book of Thomas, in the apocryphal book, I heard he was an asshole. I heard he killed a kid. He might have been not 12. He killed a kid and brought him back to life. But again, that's an apocryphal book, separate accounting, not in the Holy Bible.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. I couldn't. So it's books that ain't in the Bible that's talking about all of this. Man, it's a lot. I'm leaning more toward what you're saying every time we talk, because it's too convoluted.
It's too much. Okay, let's take some of the things that people say on behalf of God, and I'm gonna twist them. Like Greg said, like saying God is good or evil is equally nonsense. Okay, cool. So I mean, you're closer to an ambiguous state. That's cool.
Okay, so my thing is this, right?
Mhm.
Why can't you question what's going on?
Who?
That's the weirdest. No, I'm just saying that's the like I think I'm kind of responding to Greg's comment. Like saying God is good or evil is equally nonsensical to me. Make a lot of sense. Because why not ask questions about the shit? Why not question what's going on? You question everything else. We question people who have showed us that we can trust them. And we still question them because we got trust issues. But we'll lay our head down at night and trust the unseen to give us this great victory at the end of this shit. When they got the power to make this shit great right now, make Earth great again. That's probably going to be the next hat that I get.
Get a mega hat.
We can get a mega hat. Make Earth great again.
You could be a mega man.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I can't rock with the same DT I rock with, because if they was that great, we wouldn't be dealing with this shit. Y'all feel like it's some accomplishment for having to deal with some bullshit for your whole existence? But y'all won't put up with somebody that's physically right there with you? Because y'all selfish. So now we can't question something that ain't nobody got no tangible evidence of. That's crazy as hell. Like if this not real talk, because if you can't handle this shit probably ain't for you. Because the whole genesis of this conversation, biblical pun intended, was a thought experiment. Something that couldn't nobody do, that can't happen.
Oh, it's happening.
I mean, shh. We ain't gonna let them know. But now, real talk, like I appreciate people's opinion. I get it. But whatever knowledge and whatever growing and whatever evolution y'all think y'all making, I swear y'all stop it at the God door, and that's what's gonna really fuck you up. What are you learning if you only learn in one way? If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, who gives well, bring it back up. Yeah. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. No. You want to know why? Because plenty of y'all have been doing that for centuries, and guess what? He's still giving us bullshit. On the big part, on the major part, he's still giving us bullshit. So all this obedience, all this faith.
As she said.
When somebody that powerful to make it good down here, we got to deal with that.
Direct quote.
Nah, we ain't on that. We not on that, y'all. Like for real.
Yeah, so I'm cool on like questioning. Like I had to get to that place for myself where I was comfortable questioning in spite of what everybody around me thought. I had to get to that point because stuff didn't make sense. I know people that have almost gone to their graves in hurt and anger, and they're still trying to practice the best that they know how from a broken faith system. They didn't get everything that they needed. There's a lot of them. And this is what I learned from paying attention. Churches offer but so much. People have to go out into their real life and still live it. Some churches try to help with that, like food pantries. They'll try to help you with your utilities. Some churches try to help you with your real life too. Others don't. Some people, because the churches know that we have to help you with your real life, some people will fall into that. I'm going to rely on God to solve my problems. And when they still have those problems, they get a lot of hurt and resentment because I've still got these problems, but I'm doing everything the Bible said, or I'm trying to the best of my ability. God knows my heart, and I'm praying. And then they're still suffering. That's a hard place to be in. So what I came to was, after reading the Bible, I think it's in Ecclesiastes, like the rain, it might be the rain or the sun. The rain falls or the sun shines on the just and the unjust alike. The Bible tells you that everybody's going to see every measure of circumstance and outcome. The Bible tells you everybody's going to have joy. Everybody's going to have pain. The Bible tells you that those that have a lot are going to get more, and those that don't have a lot are going to have everything taken from them. The Bible tells you everything that we've ever experienced, as far as I would say, Black people in America specifically. I'll pull us out. Black people in America, everything that we've experienced, the Bible talked about and predicted. You ain't got nothing, you're going to end up with even less of nothing that you had before. Everything's going to get taken from you. The people that have are going to keep getting. The people in power are going to connive and steal. Your only hope for yourself is not that you're going to really become stronger than them or better than them. It's just to decide for yourself that you're going to be a person of character and love and values. And you do that just so you can sleep at night as a good human being, because your circumstances are largely outside of your control. Even Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is due Caesar. We're occupied. We're occupied. You got to do what the boss wants. But beyond that and underneath that, there's some things that you can do for yourself and for your people. There's some circumstances that you can change, but the greater circumstances are largely beyond your control. And if it makes you feel better to pray about it, cool. Some things are going to change, but then at the end of it, we've developed this in churches. Well, it must not have been God's will. Ask and ye shall receive. But then when you don't receive, it must not have been God's will. Then we're back at another contradiction. It's problematic. That's what I'm saying. And if people who are less inclined to suffer long term, or maybe don't have as much of a coping mechanism, don't have as much resilience, come into these things where they're, for year after year, they're trying their hardest. They're trying to live out the principles, and people because they're trying to be meek and they're trying to be humble, people abuse and take advantage of them. People talk down to them because they won't speak up, because they've heard the principles may be applied that they need to turn the other cheek too many times. So they keep forgiving people but don't understand boundaries so that I can stop people from harming me. So they keep forgiving and allowing people back in because it was never taught to them. Yes, you forgive mentally and emotionally, but you don't allow people to keep harming you, because that's not really a sermon that people really put out there. That's not, people are trying to incorporate things from psychology and real life practical application, but that wasn't the way a lot of us got it. So people have an incomplete faith system. So when I keep saying incomplete faith system, I mean it goes beyond just your beliefs and into your real life to give you practices that will help sustain you in the circumstances and environments that you're going to find yourself in. That's extremely important. Y'all can govern yourself by a book of riddles and circle talk if you want. I require a little more directness. And all the using humans as chess pieces by God. I walk with Jesus. Jesus wasn't there to protect my family from his followers. As Deep Shags. Jesus specifically told you life is suffering. Suffering, yeah. If a Roman soldier impresses you to carry his equipment for a mile, you should go an extra mile to spare someone else. Exactly. Taking on somebody's burden, because if they don't, they can put their boot on your neck. It can work. And that's when people talk about black people specifically in America, talk about the slave master's religion. It was stuff like that told you, even though you're being put upon, go ahead and do even more. And that was like a place of weakness. People saw it as a place of weakness. So that's where there's some conflict in the black community about the white man or the slave master's religion, because it was used to put in a doctrine of inferiority and to humbly submit to your masters and all that weird stuff. So there's a lot of stuff. If it's taught to you incomplete and you don't have a full understanding of the principles, which was what I like what Greg Bryant says. He talks about the Gospels exclusively. Everything else is something somebody else wrote. The Gospels is where there's a lot of learning to be had. A lot of the other stuff can actually lead you astray. last example I'll give for I'm rambling. In the Apostle Paul, who the Pauline letters, the letters of Paul are widely regarded in church, widely regarded and used and quoted. But there was a scripture in there. He said something. Oh my God. I wish I could remember it. I might have to search for it. And maybe I'll talk about this another time. But he said something that was pretty much anti-Christian, like anti-Christ. He said something in there that was against what God and what Jesus had taught. I'm gonna have to look it up because all of a sudden it left me because again, I was doing some Bible study. I was like, wow, I can't believe he said that. But there were lots of things that Paul did with us. He was stealing from some people, some churches, to do the work of other churches. Like he said, I can't remember robbing. I think he might use the word robbery, but there was a lot of such stuff in there. But his doctrine is used more often than the stuff in the Gospels. So it's really weird. There's a lot of problems to it. There's a lot of problems to the way we practice it. And to the point that everybody made when they question what Jesus didn't do that. You're right. Other men did that. You're right. But now we take it to that superintendent analogy I used. All those people that are followers that are misusing it and that are breaking people or getting broken themselves by this, all of this stems back to the person that didn't do it, but it's all done in his name. We have to talk to the superintendent. We got to talk to the head, because if all of this can come out of your name, maybe we need to be saying another name. And I'm not espousing a different faith system. I'm thinking everybody needs to find out for themselves. Everybody needs to figure out what works for you specifically, and we need to quit accepting. We need to quit. Instead of adopting, we need to adapt. Instead of adopting, we need to adapt. Adapting over adopting. I think that's what we need. Love your God and believe what you believe, but please stop trying to shove that stuff down people's throats. It's good for you and your type of folks, and that's great. Just keep to yourself about it. These are general statements directed to no one specific. I feel you. Black Carter with New Growth Old Soul. And again, thank you for your contribution talking about we back. I know, man. I know. Testimony of Christ is foundation of the faith. Testimony of Paul is foundation of the church. And that's what got me. Because, it said, upon this rock I shall build my church. And he was talking to Peter. But Paul seems to be the foundation of the church. But there was something, I wish I could remember it. Again, but I studied so many different things. But there was something that Paul said specifically that I know was exactly against what Christ has said. But I can't remember exactly what it was.
And I was going to say, even to Sherry's point, like, I mean, in ways I agree with him. Mm-hmm. Right. But man, be proud. I want you to be proud, like, about whatever your faith is, because that's the whole point. Like, do whatever you got to do to get you through this.
Yeah.
Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Because you got to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think even if I'm gonna go with it, believing that it's all true, man, I don't even think we was put here to worry about that. I think that's become a bigger distraction. Even if it's true, we do less living worrying about stuff like this. Like, cause it's too straight and narrow. That's why everybody's breaking off, and that's why everybody arguing about it. Because I'm definitely sitting on the sidelines. I'm like, whatever spirit or angel that just sit back and watch, spectator, voyeur, however you want to put it, that's me. And it's just like, man, I'm just watching it go down. Because like you said, it's in our it's like in our community. Like being around here, I know it's, I don't really be talking about that community shit, but just speaking on the fact that that's kind of the undertone of a lot of the conversations and shit that we be having over there. It's like, that's where we start. Like, it's trying to like improve what's going on. If that's at the core of a lot of it, man, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. We got to be able to relate, and we got to be able to relate and be able to understand the time that we living in. You know what I'm saying? We can't try to hold on to that old stuff and the old ways ain't working, man. I ain't saying some core values can't stay around, but we not evolved. We not keeping up with the times like we think we are. We can look good. We can be fly. We can have. We got that part. But man, like it, and I've seen that, like Jesus and God and all of that, and Christianity for us, it's man. I don't even. It's just a weird feeling to even think about. I'm trying not to be disrespectful about it, because I feel like it ruined everything. So
I'm glad you made that one point though, because that's something I wanted to say, but I didn't put it in my notes. When I was talking about everybody needs to find a version for themselves, when I talked about the difference between, like, there needs to be a system that has a standard, but everybody needs to be able to find the interpretation that works for them. That's what I was kind of going for. Everybody needs to find what works for you in this life. On an individual level, you need to find what works for you specifically. What helps you get through the day, what helps ease your mind, what helps keep you at peace. I'm with that. All of that. If you believe it and it uplifts you, if it encourages you, if it gives you strength, man, I love that for you. Absolutely. But on a conceptual level, we're allowed to examine it on a content basis. Like, what is that? What's in it? What's there? Just because, right, like people see tangible effects off placebos. So people see tangible effects from nothing but sugar pills, when there's supposed to be a medication that actually triggers physiological responses. So there's something to belief. So I'm never trying to take someone's belief away. What I am doing is just examining it from just a logical basis, a place of reasoning, because I believe thinking about stuff in the same way faith helps one person thinking through things and coming to understandings helps somebody else. So different strokes, different folks, and that's all good. I'm not literally trying to take anything away from anybody else. Thinking through things, maybe this will help people connect to what I'm thinking through. Things is what helped me save my life, because I would, if I had continued feeling. So this is why I'm so passionate about this. Like, okay, let's go down that path. Why I'm so passionate about this. I grew up in a family of a broken faith system, where I would say they taught but did not understand and did not live out the principles that came from the Bible, although we were in church too many days of the week to still come home and get cussed at or hit or people stealing from each other or any of the things that were going on in the family. So I saw people live out these principles. You know, they're going to church, they're deacons, they're this, they're that, but they're cheating, they're lying, they're fornicating, they're adultering. There are all kinds of things are going on, all kinds of things. But they're still up in church every Sunday and crying and going up in the altar call. That's a broken faith system. They're struggling to live the principles that they're espousing. And I don't necessarily hold Jesus responsible for that. Each individual person is responsible for that. But these people were pushing this on everybody else around them and enforcing it. And you've got to be here for service and this and that and the other. I'm like, oh my God. So I was ready to die because I'm living two lives. One where I'm being forced to be this pious, righteous person, while I know the people that are making me live this life are doing all of this dirt, all of these sins, all of these vile things, according to what I'm reading and hearing come across the pulpit. And I'm like, you're up here crying in front of the pastor, getting hands laid on you. And we're going to walk out the door and you're going to cuss at me. You're going to threaten me for things like little minor things that a child would do. That was hard for me. I was ready to die. It made me so miserable. I had to figure out, I had to thinking and understanding and figuring out that these people and their actions were separate from the things that they were hearing. God was not going to make them do any better. God was not going to change their heart. Jesus wasn't doing any of that. Jesus wasn't saving me. So now you know where my disposition towards this come from. It did not change anything. The only thing that changed anything was when I changed something. What does Bravo with Sheila say? Nothing changes until something changes. Or if nothing changes, nothing changes. I think that's how she says it. If nothing changes, nothing changes. I literally had to change how I operated. Then things started to change. People have credited me for improvements in the family structure that we have because I had to learn to change myself, because Jesus wouldn't do it for these people. He didn't change them. God didn't change them. The ones that did change found an idea that they hung on to, and they allowed it to inform a change in their life. Something became more important than all their heathenry. Heathenry, I found, was best for me. Some people prefer the heathenry. Some people want both. They want the heathenry up until Sunday morning. Then they go in there and pretend for several hours like they're a saint. Then they walk out and go right back to the heathenry. Starts with a cigarette. Secondary is a drink. Then you start cussing people out. Then you start beating people up. Then you start having adulterous sex. That's the way people are living. The pastors are getting caught. The pastors are out here getting caught. Pastors are getting caught with other women, other men, other children. This is the way people are. Human nature is flawed. Human nature is, it is what it is. It's going to happen. People are not going to change. The Bible tells you people are going to be like this. So you have to prepare yourself. And that's what I had to learn. And I had to learn that before anything changed. I had to think through these things, and I had to understand human nature. I had to understand why people, what their motivations were, because it was completely in opposition to the God that they preached. It was completely in opposition to the Bible that they said that they were reading every day, that they weren't. When I could watch them, they weren't reading every day. They lied. Now some of them tell the truth. It's weird. Some of them mean, I don't read the Bible. I barely read the Bible. I barely touch it. It's weird. I have a lot of history dealing with people with a broken faith system. So I've seen the hurt. I've seen the hurt it causes other people. I've gotten to the place where I can empathize with what it takes to try to be a Christian and live by the principles. I understand how hard it is to overcome your base nature. And then people will come to you and say, his yoke is easy and his burden is light. That's a lie. It's a lie. To be in a system, because the Bible will also tell you it's hard, which is, again, going back to the contradictory information that comes from the Bible. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. But you have to give up yourself. You have to surrender your will to something that you've never seen. That's incredibly difficult. That's incredibly difficult, to give up all the things that you want, and to suppress your urges to do things that you're not supposed to do. That's the hardest thing you're ever going to do, especially when you're in a world that goes the opposite way. That's incredibly difficult. Let me read this note. Jesus came and condemned the church for the acting as political entity when they founded a church in his name and acted as a political organization. Yeah. The ability to think is God's greatest gift to humanity. The idea that he doesn't want you to use it is absurd to me. Yeah, and that's one of the things I talked about, because in a lot of religion, has tried to suppress thought over history. A lot of religion has tried to suppress thought. Like, that's going back to the whole thing, that joke you made earlier, Greg, about one man interpreting the Bible for everybody. Like, they've tried to suppress people thinking, reading for themselves. When I read the Bible for myself, I was like, wow, I didn't get any of this stuff from the people around me. The Gospels, especially, Jesus was a totally different person. Jesus was a totally different person than the outcomes that come from the people. I still would love to see a transformed individual, like just from coming to Jesus, that sustained itself, because that initial zeal, the Bible talks about this too, the seed planted in different earths, shallow earth, lands on concrete. Some people have such shallow depth that they get planted into. When the sun comes and burns them up, they burn off, like, because they're not rooted. They don't have enough nurturing. So again, the Bible talks about a whole bunch of principles that I really wish people truly understood. A lot of people come with a lot of religious zeal, but they can't sustain it because it's all pure emotion and energy. If you don't have reason, if if you don't have reason and understanding behind that initial burst of energy, the same thing in relationships, why relationships are so faulty. If you don't know who you're with, and if you don't know why you're with them, after all that passion and zeal and excitement fades, your relationship's going to fall apart because it's not based on anything. The same thing happens in religion. And again, these are all flaws of man, all flaws of humanity. But if the Jesus that's supposed to impart divine impartation and revelation into his creatures, that he lives in their hearts spiritually, he abides in them. The Holy Ghost is a comforter. The Holy Ghost he does this. You're speaking in tongues on Sundays, but you're not changing on Mondays or Tuesdays or when. It's hard for me to accept that. It's a problem for me. For you to talk about, be up there, it's hard for me to watch you do that and cry and lay out. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're a holy terror to the rest of the world. But on Sunday, you are saved, sanctified, fire baptized. That is a problem for me. And then nobody calls it out. Everybody accepts it and moves on. That's not okay. So if all that stuff can still be done in Jesus' name, he's not going to do anything with his spirit that lives in these people. God's not going to do anything with some grand something. And all the other saints, which are supposed, again, the Bible gives instruction on calling out your brother for their wrongdoing. The other people are not going to remove anybody else from the church. You're not going to sit people down. You're not going to say, hey, you got to correct yourself. If nobody's going to fix these things, I've got to go to the head. I've got to go directly to the CEO, the chief, the top dog. He's the problem because he's letting everything else happen. And I get it because people believe that he lives within them. So they excuse a lot. But the truth is, your boss hasn't been on the grounds of the job for 2,000 years. He walked off the job. Your daddy went for milk 2,000 years ago. He never came back. Yes, the kids are out of control because you're dealing with substitute teachers. Substitute teachers have been here. We all know what happens when you get substitute teachers in school, in the classroom. The class goes to chaos. We need the head teacher. We need the one that has control. No, the subs ain't working out. Stepdaddy ain't working out. Stepdaddy, while daddy's gone for milk, he ain't working out because it's not my daddy. All the substitutes and the fakes and the fill-ins and the phonies, and in the meantime, in between time, it's not working. So if Jesus wants to be looked at as the head, as the boss, that's the King of Kings, he need to show up for work. He got to show up. It's been 2,000 years. And in the Bible, he says, listen, people ain't even going to taste death before my kingdom comes on this earth. They dead. And their kids dead, 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 and so on and so forth for 2,000 years. So there's problems. There are problems with this broken faith system. The only way, if nothing changes, nothing changes. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing for 2,000 years and expecting a different result. That's my problem. That's where my perspective comes from. We have to change anything that we want changed. We can't wait. We can't pray. Again, to use the Bible. Faith without works is dead. If we don't do the work of actually changing something, your faith means nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's going to have to be work done. Literal sweat equity, sacrifice. That's going to have to be a part of the equation on anything that we want to be different. Oh, man. So was your thought that once you accept God that you would not struggle in the flesh? No, I don't get insulted by questions unless it's a stupid question. But even then, I kind of find it curious. But that's not a stupid question. No, I didn't think that I wouldn't struggle once I accepted God because God said that you would be persecuted. Christians would be persecuted. It would be hard. But again, the Bible also said my yoke was easy and my burden was light. The Bible says everything. So by saying everything, you're actually saying nothing. If you say everything, you're actually saying nothing. And that's the problem. when Brother Clarence, when I played that clip earlier, when Brother Clarence said people need to be guided through this, you have to be guided through this, because which part of the everything that you fall into and start believing is the faith practice you're going to fall into. You're going to create a faith of your own from the pieces and fragments of everything that you hear from the Bible. Somebody else is going to create their own personal. That's why you get personal Jesus, because you have personal faith systems from the personal parts of the Bible that you prefer. You start retraining your brain. You read the same verses, you recite the same verses, you sing the same songs. So now you have an algorithm of one of what your faith system is. The next person has their own separate algorithm. Like your YouTube recommended page is not going to be like anybody else in this chat. So too is the religion that everybody that says they're a Christian is. Even though they all say they're going to Jesus, it's like saying they're all going to YouTube. They're all going for different reasons, and they're all going to see different things. They're all going to have different results. Somebody's going to laugh. Somebody's going to cry. Somebody's going to fix their washer off of it. Somebody's going to sit there and watch somebody shake their butt because they like it. Everybody's going for a different reason. Everybody gets something different out of it. That's why I say it's a broken faith system. Church, religion, Christianity has become very little different than YouTube. It's a place of entertainment. It's a place of social gathering, but there's very little transformative work being done. The same way we claim about community on the internet. Very little transformative work is happening, especially when you have a supernatural component. That's what really gets me. The algorithm is more effective at changing what people think and do than Jesus has been. We learned that from the 2016 election.
And that's crazy that you mentioned like the church being like YouTube, because that's kind of like my disposition with YouTube. I didn't realize how churchy Black YouTube is. Didn't realize that. And that kind of influenced my decision. Because I'm not saying like I'm not the type of person that would want anybody to just agree with me. But here we stand now, because one thing for sure and two things for certain, can't really discuss faith. If once faith in God and the Bible and certain structures come into the equation, it narrows the conversation. It narrows the conversation. That's kind of why, and it's just my stance on it. It's kind of why I get away from like I don't mind listening to some relationship talk. Everybody, we all like a little messy shit every now and then. But I can't do it under the guise of the religious part. Like how it's supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, the structure, how it's supposed to be God-based, Bible-based, because that ain't gonna work. I just want to hear somebody get drugged if I'm gonna listen to that. Like, what? Yeah, I'm just trying to listen to somebody get drugged. No. But but check this out though. In some ways, it always has that blend though. Because somebody always getting tight, folks is, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to conform to this part of the Bible to be a traditional woman. They use this part of the Bible to try to shame men for not being traditional men. It's just, and it still ain't, because like you said, you got all them relationships that fell apart. That ain't the fucked up part about it is that's not out of the norm
At all.
That's not out of the norm
At all, man.
That's why my stance on it, that's where I'm coming from. I couldn't go down that way. I couldn't go down that way. I think I told the story before. I was in church. I was like 12. And the pastor was doing like, where they tap you on your head or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They pop lock it,
Lean
drop
back.
it, and fall out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like fifth in line, right?
Fifth?
First one go, bam. She do her thing, go out like a light. I get like, ooh, yeah, I want some of that. Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. Music jamming, everybody falling at you. 3, 4. Okay, get to me. He look at me. Bam. Right. Just put my hands up. I was ready. Got to me. Bam. Nothing. So now it's like trapped in the closet. It's like I looked at him and he looked at me, and it was like, did I miss the connection? Like, did I not rub my feet on the carpet so I can get the electric shock thing? Like, am I missing something? Just let me know. You know how you rub. You got your socks on. You rub up a little static shock. Like, did I not do it right?
Yeah.
So he, bam, tried it again. Nothing. Now he looking at me like I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how this works. You're
supposed to take a dive.
Now, see, if you tell me it was like wrestling, I could have did a work. Nigga, I know how to make a stunner look good. I can probably, you know what I'm saying? I could sell a punch. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you want me to do. But I thought it was like exchange. Yeah, I thought it was like exchange of power, like Hadouken. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Forward high punch, something like that.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, matter of fact, I wish you had that clip. The first Mortal Kombat movie. You remember that one?
Nah,
did you see that one?
Flashes.
Oh man, look. Okay. So it's the scene where they introduced Johnny Cage. And we know Johnny Cage was he martial arts he come in and whoop the whole little warehouse ass. A bunch of bad guys in the warehouse. He whooped their ass. He down to the last dude and he keep punching and he keep kicking and keep kicking and keep kicking and dude ain't going down. And he stopped and he was like, "This is where you fall down." And that dude just took this big weird ass dive, like he was just, you know what I'm saying, kicked right in the chest. Come to find out it was a movie. You know what I'm saying? They were shooting a movie. That's how it was supposed to go. It was a agreed thing. And I promise that's how it felt. It felt like he looked at me like, "This is where you fall down." And I'm like, no. But it was like I took like a Kaepernick knee.
Oh, okay.
And got the fuck up out of there.
Got a little weak. I got technique. Got a little weak.
It was like I ain't gonna make you look bad, player. Like, I ain't gonna make you look bad. You know what I'm saying? Player to player. Because he was like, nigga, hold on. I guess this is how it's worked. But I didn't, more of the story, I ain't nothing. And man, since then, I ain't been looking back. Looking back. And it's more evidence. Like, I didn't come up in that type of religious situation. Like, that wasn't me. But even still, knowing I mean, you don't know who God is, whatever. You know that if you don't know that person is the thing, or that thing, that deity is a thing. Like, I know it. I people talk about it all the time. My mom spoke about it. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, the evidence wasn't matching up, and I'm looking at it on a global scale. I've always looked at it on a global scale. Because I'm that type of person that no matter what I believe, man, the next person, if I rock with you, I rock with you. I'm going to ride with you to the end. Like, people tell me I'm loyal to a fault. Like, that's you know what I'm saying, a bad trait. Because I've always viewed that through a global scale and how I look. And I'm like, man, like, when I watch Superman don't let all that happen.
Stop it.
I'm dead ass.
And I get what you're saying.
I'm dead ass serious. Superman don't let all that happen, because that's what it sounds like. You know what I'm saying? And it's just always been this thing. And this is I've seen a lot of stuff that we be okay with. through that. Like the chick on the Kingdom Wife.
Oh yeah.
Talking about she divorced her husband because God gave her a prophetic dream where she seen the word divorce in white letters, thus starting the downward spiral of her marriage.
Mm.
Now she on YouTube telling folks that she gonna get married by October. Was it September?
November.
September. It was
Either
September.
way, it's November.
It ain't happened. Let's just put it like that. It ain't happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do you say about that? She ain't harming nobody. She just making content. But that's detrimental. Because you got people doing the thing that you, like you said, is they say one, it says one thing and the other, and then the it says one thing and then it says the whole opposite at the same time. Like ain't it a problem with divorce in the Bible? I don't know shit. And there's something in the Bible that tell you ain't supposed to get divorced or you always married or it's like some weird.
Yeah, Jesus spoke on divorce because somebody's like, well, about getting remarried, and he said something to the effect of like, who do you think you're gonna be married to in heaven? Like, are you think you're gonna be married to your first wife? Like, it doesn't work like that. You don't take and marry in heaven. So like the whole divorce thing is kind of weird because
I
can't
okay.
remember.
All my divorced people out there, then all my divorced Christians out there, would you want to die and end up in heaven with your ex that
That's
you
the
hate?
thing. Like I don't think you would be with anybody. Like, I don't
No,
think
I'm just
you would be
saying.
with I'd have to go back and look though. I haven't read that in a minute.
Interpretation. That's how I interpret it. Because the understanding that you married that person was a covenant under God.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is gonna be my loose trying to. What's done on earth is recognized in heaven, right? So it's something like that. In some ways,
I know what you're talking about.
Roundabout to Jesus. Is it loose? If you loosely translating it, look, it ain't even tied up. It's secondhand hearing. It's something there though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, that's in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. That's where that comes from.
Saying, okay, cool. There you go. I mean, who was you talking to when you said it? Talking to the guy, right? Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's kind of where my head has always been with it. So I don't know.
I hear you, Playboy. I'm gonna let this play a little bit because I think we're getting ready to get to the part where me and Vaughn had a disagreement. So I don't know, Brother Vaughn Bryant's already went ahead and stepped out. I know Bravo with Sheila started, and he might have, got tired of us bashing. I have no idea, but I'm saying I know it's gonna get to that part, so it gets a little contentious here.
I think I think to get the full understanding, I think we should go there. But I think that's will be a part 2, because I see your understanding and I understand your theory on that, and what your premise.
I still want to know what Von Erich, who he would use. He said there was somebody in the Bible he would get rid of, but he didn't say.
We have to be open minded.
That's the only reason I want a part 2.
Our emotions cloud our judgments because of what we believe in.
Well, let me just say this.
Because when you said, especially when you said dumb God, there's an understanding that we must have to get the complete understanding in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe we should do a part 2 or whatever, because that's going to be we're going into a different level. And because I know what Yellow was saying, I like what he was saying and what points he brought up as far as the state of mind and the culture that we're raised in. I think we should tackle that also. But yeah, we should go down that path. And what everybody else was saying, that it made great point, great understanding, even with brothers and what Von Bryant said. And he said, all this collective information that's coming, we can't stray away from it. We have to tackle it because it's something we need to grow from. Because like that, when it comes to the
Our
Christ,
minds were tripping so
and
bad that day, man.
understanding the Christ and what it has done,
Oh man, our minds.
I believe also
Because we was dirty heathens. That's why.
the interpretation and was taught. I think for us to get that more understanding, we need to go down that path what you're going down. Because what it is, a lot of church people say, "Oh, you shouldn't talk about that. Just do what."
Oh, there we go, my bad. It was on. I should have just let it play, but it was that mic was killing me. So once this loads up, this is where Von Bryant interjects, because he did not like me saying "dumb guy." Well, he did not like that. He did not like that at all. But yeah, what I want to do when we get to this point, once it loads up, I want.
Well, let me just say this:
Here we
this
go.
whole concept of dumb God. You know, I think we use terms and.
Oh, sorry. I started laughing immediately. I can feel it. I can feel it immediately. I can feel it.
Stop
I can
laughing,
feel it
man.
immediately. Immediately, I felt it,
Laughing,
and
man.
it just made me laugh because I was like, "Oh, hey, that one got him. That one got him. Got him. Got him."
Shout out to Vaughn. Shout out to Vaughn.
Yeah, shout
But
out
I'm
to Vaughn
sorry.
Bryant.
Hey, the smoothest trigger. Like, I'm sorry. I ain't trying to be like that, but that's the coolest angry. I wish
Man.
that's how I sounded when I got angry. Like, not like that, but I'm just saying.
That was fun. Neat.
He was like on the concept of dumb God.
Oh man. Man, this computer is bugging. See, I wonder what this is. If it's mostly StreamYard that has this lag with when it's not being shared in StreamYard, things pretty much play just fine. But I can't understand how sharing something in StreamYard makes stuff slow.
You know, I think we use terms and we're really not careful with how we speak. We just, say things out of our mouth just haphazardly at times because I don't understand what's dumb about him.
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm gonna parse this up. Said we just say stuff. We just say stuff haphazardly. Just dumb as in a lack of intelligence. A God that has a lack of intelligence. I said I didn't want a dumb God. I wanted a smart God. Brother Vaughn didn't like that. And man, hold up. Let me see if this works. Oh no. God is dumb because it was created by humans. Yeah, yeah. On the concept of my penis being small, I can't stand you. I don't see what's small about it. And see, that's what he said. Okay, that's what he said. I don't see what's dumb about God. I never said God was dumb. So in his mind, me saying, when I said I don't want a dumb God, just that language triggered him. So he couldn't even hear what I was saying because the word choice. And that's something that's really complicated in like conversation and debate spaces. It's really hard to be in a space where you don't control what language is going to be used. Like Yella could come in here with one set of ideologies and thoughts. It's a group of people from around the country, sometimes world, that get together and start talking. If any words trigger you so that you can't hear anymore what's going on, that's something we have to learn to grow beyond. Because that's especially in this space, like where the function is to get with strangers and talk about things that matter. The whole point of the internet is to talk about things that matter to you. So if you get on the internet and talk about something that's mundane, like why is the stamp placed in the right corner on an envelope, the top right corner? Nobody really cares about that. So, but why would you spend time talking about that if it's something nobody really cares about? If it went to the bottom left, the top left, or the bottom right, nobody would care. We would just put it there. But we're going on the internet to talk with strangers about things that we care about. So having a sensitivity to verbiage is like I would say a chink in the armor. It's a something that is not really useful to come to the table with. Like it's like knowing that you're going to a buffet, but you hate eating food that other people are hovering over. Like it's not useful. You know what you're getting into. Like you people might say words because we're not here to police words. YouTube polices some words, but not all of them. And if dumb gets you, woo, I'm going to say a lot worse.
Just haphazardly at times, because I don't understand what's dumb about him. You know, when you look at how your body is designed, you don't understand how your lungs work. You see what I'm saying? What causes you to continue to
Yellow's
breathe?
face.
How does your heart keep beating every day? God designed your body. The Bible says that we are wonderfully made. You see what I'm saying? He is the creator of all things. How dumb is he? Come on. Are you saying there's nothing dumb about God? He is infinite. His ability to know infinity is well outside of our minds. Our thoughts are not his. His thoughts are not ours. So when we dumb down God, what are we really saying? Gentlemen, what are we really saying?
That's why I started nodding. I'm like, yes, when we dumb down God, we're the ones dumbing down God. We make him sound dumb. When we say the things that we think God is doing, we make God sound dumb. That's on us. When whoever wrote Genesis 2, that was on us for sounding dumb. Like they wrote that, but again, that was written thousands of years ago. So, of course, if I'm judging the literary skills of a writer from over 2,000 years ago, and it's been translated through a couple of different languages from thousands of years ago, yes, I'm going to find probably some fault or flaw in the writing. It would have to be an extremely superb writer to not have like any grammatical errors. And again, to be passed through several different hands from Hebrew, Aramaic to get translated into the Latin and to the English, the Old English and then newer English. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of hands. That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So something's probably, even if it didn't start out sounding dumb, it's probably going to sound dumb by the time everybody's done with it. By everybody's done scratching and mixing, it's going to probably sound dumb. And that's all I was saying. I didn't call God dumb, but you know, once something triggers you, if you have a word or like submission, bam, a bunch of women will get triggered, and a bunch of dudes get triggered by there's a bunch of stuff the red pillars get triggered by. Oh my God, you can say dusty. See, or broke. Oh my God. But everybody's got some trigger words now. They develop over time. But man, the fewer trigger words you have, the more you can participate in conversations. Because I'm not somebody that has a lot of sacred cows. I don't have a lot of things that are going to get me up in arms or heated or yeeted.
Or, and this, you know,
Or
it's not, you know, or
hit me.
The conversation ain't for you.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's okay to just listen. Like I'll listen. You know what I'm saying? Folks just listening now.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to just listen and shake your head. Or
Absolutely.
you know, pull up a video that you 100% agree with. I go do that shit all the time. Like I got wrestling people that I just 100% agree with what they talking about, and I go watch them, and they be like, "Yep, I know he finna drag that." I mean, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
That just got. But if it's bro, I love that now. I didn't notice that for a second that I wasn't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Just clicking out. Oh no, this conversation getting this. You know what I'm saying? This conversation's going completely left. This don't even because it's a conversation. It's just a conversation.
Yes.
You know, so and like I said, as far as I was just gonna say, as far as I know, the 5 of y'all was cool with me.
Yeah.
Like I said, we did, you know what I'm saying? Hey, everybody was great. You're awesome. And I mean, so
yeah. And that's what I wanted. I'm glad you said what you said, because that's the difference of what I wanted to point out. Because I know Brother Vaughn, he's going to say it. I'm going to let it play. And he's going to say it about passion. Being passionate is different than being like offended. It's a different response. Like, it's okay to engage in content that evokes passion, makes you care about it. Like, it gets you amplified. You're like, man, what you want? It gets you involved. You want to talk about it. You want to get in the chat. That entertains, that engages. That's fantastic. That's a good, productive, useful energy that you can do something with. But getting angry, if content that you're watching is, or listening to or taking part in is making you angry, that's not really good, especially if you can't use that anger to help strengthen you. Like if you haven't learned to turn anger into something useful, that's probably not the best thing to do. If especially if you feel personally offended, if you're just angry because you don't like what somebody said or you don't like their face, like well, they got a punchable face, maybe that makes you angry. Maybe you thrive off of anger. But if you're starting to feel personally attacked when nobody has said you specifically, that really might be something that needs to be looked at. Definitely. And if you care about the placement of stamps, and they
See, that's my Taurus sister though, right there. Like, cause I was thinking the same thing. So, like, why it can't be on the left though?
I mean, it can be on the left. Let's have a whole conversation about stamps now, y'all. Do you like the new forever stamps? Do you like the fact that they call them forever stamps when they're constantly raising the price?
Yeah,
like that stamp is good forever, even even if the price increases. But the forever stamp price increases. Like if you go buy forever stamps in a year, they're going to be different than the forever stamps you bought this year. It's I don't know. Anyway, I'm just being stupid.
Look, I didn't know.
Let's do
Carry on, bro.
Let's do it. Yeah, I got a sheet of them. Yeah, if you get them, it's like investing. If you buy a whole bunch of forever stamps now, they'll always be good until the postal system collapses because it's running at a deficit. But if you decide to buy the stamps this year, forever stamps, they'll be more expensive than next year, probably, forever stamps. But they keep raising the prices. But again, the postal system, man, when I found out about their finances, y'all, go look and find a YouTube video about the postal system and their finances. You will be shocked. Oh, you'll be surprised. And dog food. Maybe if you have dogs, don't look into that one. But I'm gonna spoil it for you. They feed your dog other dogs. Anyway, that's my point.
Creatorial God. Well, there's nothing dumb about him. You see what I'm saying? But the people that he created make dumb decisions.
I want to say
I will definitely say that.
But see, that's what I'm saying, Bob. Like this is where the logic breaks down.
Could I?
Oh, that's Von Erich. Okay, my bad. I thought that was you.
Can I answer that real quick?
That's my spin on it.
Can I ask? Von Brian, what you're saying is true. I understand it because you was brought up in holiness and Pentecost.
Tag, I want to say it's 55 cents, but I think I'm wrong.
So I completely understand, and I'm not denying what you're saying. But there's things in the Bible that we need to answer. Like God brought the animal to Adam to see what he would do. Why would you bring animals up to a person if you know what they want to do?
But see,
those type of questions,
yeah,
needs to be answered so we can move forward and grow together. It does with any religion.
Okay,
but
well, let me just say this.
Certain questions, we're not saying
we only know in part, brother. The Bible teaches us that.
Now, I want to point this out too, because this came up a couple times. We know in part. If we know in part, then there should be some sense of humility or uncertainty to everything that we say. Because, and I'm using Brother Von Brian as the example this time, but the same person who will say we know in part will then speak in complete certainty in other areas as soon as you start talking about religion or faith. They'll speak in 100% certainty about so many things, but we know in part when we don't know so much. So we really have to be careful, because if we really know in part, we should actually be able to, we should question everything, because there is no complete knowledge for us. There isn't a set of complete knowledge for us. So when people start speaking in certainly and absolutes, boy, that always catches my eye in my ear.
There are some things that we're just not going to understand in this present life. We can seek answers for some things, but we won't get them. We won't know the full picture until we are in a different state.
Right, but that's
here's where we
Wait,
hold on. Here's where we get tripped up at. What we do is we want the answer. See, this has been the problem with man since the beginning. Our quest for knowledge has screwed us up, because God says there's some things that I just don't want you to know right now. But because of our bullheadedness, we step in areas that we're not supposed to. And then we put it on God. We put our own disobedience on God. I don't understand that.
Now, real quick, I would say the disobedience is always on the person who's disobeying. But as far as the knowledge, don't make knowledge available if you don't want me to have access to it. Like going back to the tree thing, don't make it available. If I'm not supposed to know something, hide it. Put it away.
Now hold on. The most intelligent being in existence, and we put dumb next to his
Brother
name.
Vaughn, hold on. Now let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you because like right now you're triggered. Right now you're triggered by what I said.
No. I'm
Brother Vaughn.
How deep the
Because
conversation
you interrupted Von Eric.
Right.
To take shots at my talking point. You interrupted Von Eric to take shots at my talking point is my talking point.
Yes.
You don't have to accept it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to even respond to it. But you can feel how you feel. But let's be in order. Let Von Eric feel how he feels. Let him say what he's got to say.
That. I was just expressing myself. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's cool. But again, we were doing it out of order.
Forgive me for being out of order. Listen, we've all interjected in the conversation.
Yeah, but let's
hold on. When you told me this,
that part was funny. I'm like, yeah, it's okay to interject. Like we're having a conversation. In a conversation, there are interjections, and we do like get our thoughts off. Like something will spark something. But he wasn't interjecting with new thought. He was interjecting with an exclamation about what I said. Wow, dumb God. Well, that's not really moving the conversation forward. So there's a difference between interjecting for conversation's sake, or I want to ask you a question to clarify something, or could you repeat what you just said? That's a different interjection than bringing us back to a point that's already been covered. I don't like that you said that. I don't like that you said that. No. I don't like that. That's a different type of interjection that has to be understood in a conversation. Any type of interjection is not the same. Every type of interjection is totally different. A clarifying question is different than an interruption. Is different than somebody who keeps going in a circular argument. All three of those are totally different, mean three different things, three different parts of a conversation, have three different energies. We have to be able to understand the difference between those. Every interjection is not the same. Oh, I don't do this now. Woo! I just paused for a second. Yeah, he didn't like that.
Other people were speaking when you asked me to answer a question. So, and I don't have a problem with that.
Brother Brian, let's admit that you're a little triggered by the way that I use dumb. I call it dumb God. Let's admit that you were offended by that. Can we be adults enough to admit that you were offended by that?
Well, listen, people have all type of names and different ways that they view God. It's not for me to be offended by it.
It's not for me to be offended by it. I feel the rage in the title.
But at the same time, I don't see God as dumb.
And that's okay. That's it. I don't see God as dumb. That's me expressing how I feel. If I'm constantly talking about dumb God, that's a talking point. That's different. Like you expressing yourself and how you feel is one thing, but you're constantly talking about how the other person feels. That's different. These are different things. And I will admit I use some inflammatory language in there, not intentionally though. Can we be adults enough? That's going to make somebody. That's going to tweak somebody. That would tweak my ear too. Can we be adult and admit that? Like, but I really I want people to be able to admit, like, listen, I got hot. That bothered me. You know what I'm saying? We got to be. We need us in these conversations to be able to like, look, that got me. I ain't like that one. You know what I'm saying? We got to admit that. It wasn't intentional. But I'm gonna tell you this thing I learned. There's two things. He went straight to the pulpit tone. There's two things. One is sometimes like calling on like a better angel, like trying to call up what you're trying to call out of somebody. It's like, can we be like mature enough? Can we be adults enough? Like, can we put on our big boy, big girl pants? Like that kind of thing where you're trying to call forth something like a specific energy out of somebody. But then there's also like when you're talking to somebody and you kind of assume it. Like, I know we're all mature enough to not get triggered by somebody saying dumb. Like, and you kind of put the onus on them to interpret that to like, you know what I'm saying? I'm the one that's being immature. If I'm immature, you're kind of implying that they're immature if they get triggered by this thing. So those are two like ways to manipulate with speech. One is to kind of call it forth like, well, can we be mature enough to examine this? Or that's one way to try to call it forward, to add, like invoke it. but the other one is to imply it. So to invoke and to imply, you can kind of imply something like, nah, well, and you can do it negatively too. Like, man, you're stupid if you don't think Superman's the best superhero. And that's another implication that you can put on people, and it makes them have to counteract it. And if they're not assertive enough, they'll kind of go with you a lot of times. Or if they're aggressive, they'll combat you. So, I mean, you know, there's ways you can manipulate with speech. I should have just let that hit play.
Yeah, because Batman is the greatest.
I have a certain reverence for him. You see what I'm saying? Now, the same way that you can make that statement, it's the same way that I can make mine with passion.
And that's fair. But what I'm saying is this is an illustration. This is an illustration of the point that I was making earlier. Your single side of defensiveness, like I'm firmly planted on this side of the fence, creates thoughts and feelings when somebody stands on the other side of the fence. Because
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem.
Well, obviously, we've all seen it. That you are, Brother Von Bryant, triggered by what I said. You multiple times.
Well, it is a little triggering to me because I'm trying to figure out.
So I wasn't triggered. Well, it is a little triggering to me. Like that's why I was trying to get, like, if we can just admit that we're triggered, then we can say, oh, you know what, I was triggered. Let me fall back for a second and hear what you got to say. Like there's ways to, even if you get triggered on a panel, there's ways to deal with it in a way that doesn't cause like disruption. Like we have to deal with our own emotions, our own sense of offense, especially if nobody's directly insulted us. Like, man, Rashawn is an idiot. That might be offensive, but even still on a panel, you can still just eat that. And like, but you've seen people when they get insulted, they immediately got to go in, they immediately got to attack the person, and they got to go back and forth. You don't have to. Those are all choices. Emotional regulation. You can choose to how you respond. That's your choice. Everybody talked about free will in the garden. We have free will to choose how we respond to the emotional stimuli that happens. It's a training. You have to train yourself through practice. Something negative happened to me. I'm not going to respond immediately. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to whatever I got to do. I'm going to fall back. You have to train yourself to not respond immediately to everything that like hits you the wrong way. It's not easy.
How do you call my mother a bitch? That triggers me.
Now again, I call God dumb. Now equating that to your mother being a bitch, that's crazy to me. But I know people see God as their father, which I think that conflation that from the religious practice, that faith system, I think that allows people to foster an ideology that makes some things that are too personal. Like Greg Bryant talked about, if Jesus is okay being offended, like there are certain things that should be okay and permissible and understandable, that making somebody a close personal relation and also your God, like it's my father and my God at the same time, that relationship paradox, that can be problematic. That can cause some tension that doesn't have to be there.
You see what I'm saying?
So but that's the honesty we need in the conversation.
Am I wrong for being triggered? Let's say that.
No. So I'm gonna use Brother Vaughn as an example. Okay, I'm just gonna use this as an example. So you'll see this on panels a lot. So something happened. You want the person to admit that something happened. And instead of just saying, yes, something happened. Well, was I wrong? Like that. Oh my God. Woo. Man, just say, yes, I did it. Oh, and eat it. Just eat it. Yeah, you got me. I got it. That's cool. You got me. But was I wrong? Like people will deflect quite a bit. And I'm not saying he's wrong for getting offended. He actually apologized. I didn't even want him to apologize. It's okay. It's human. It's human to get offended. You're going to have feelings. I expect you to have feelings. But it's your job, though, to manage your feelings and your behavior that stems from how you manage your feelings. All that is a personal thing. But that's what I was trying to get to. I couldn't do it right in a moment because you're going to see how this, I couldn't find exactly why it was irking me, but we're going to talk about that. That face. But see, now you're flipping it. But see,
no,
a minute ago,
you're putting me in a position to say that because I'm triggered, I'm incorrect somehow.
No. And see, there's a fear of being made incorrect. No, I was just trying to get you to admit that you were triggered, but it was hard to pull out that you were triggered. You were bothered by what was said, but everybody could see it. Everybody could feel it. It's immediate in the tone of voice when people are bothered by something that you said. Everybody notices it. Sometimes in real time in the moment, you're not aware of your own emotional state, but it gives off energy through your tone, through your the way you're carrying your body, like, the way you shift, your posture, people head tilts, like all that stuff, it communicates. And people aren't aware that they're communicating not just through their words, but through the way they move, through the way they talk, their tone, their gestures, the way they articulate, even their word choice will change based upon their emotional state. But again, if you're triggered, you're not going to be aware of all that. Emotion undercuts reason if you don't have it trained. Words are just air we use to convey information. If they are conveying the information that they want, you get upset. Why would you give them what you want or what they want? Oops, almost clicked the wrong thing. Ooh, almost banned you accidentally. I was just a little pause thing will stop happening. This is annoying.
I don't understand how you put dumb on God's name.
And see, now we're back to the dumb in God's name. That's what I meant by every interjection is not the same. We can't move past the point of me using dumb in a sentence, probably at this point 10 minutes ago in this conversation. Like, we're talking about my word choice for my description of what I did not want in a God. But that's how a conversation can get derailed. Because again, I didn't call Von Bryant dumb. I didn't call his mom dumb. I said, I don't want a dumb God. That has us having this exchange. I don't want a dumb God. Has us having this exchange that's tense. And that's what happens in a lot of, you see these panel conversations. One word choice will trigger somebody because of the way they interpret it. So imagine if the word choice can trigger this on a conversation between people that respect each other, what word choice in the Bible, how meaningful that is when you're hanging your soul and your eternal fate on it. Word choice matters because it triggers things in people, feelings and thoughts and beliefs. So all of this stuff, when we talk about like interpretations, that's why it's so important, because the way he interpreted me saying, I don't want a dumb God, caused this tension. You can call my mom anything you want, especially if you never met her. You're saying words to upset me, not because they're true. Facts. That and she's dead. She can't do anything about it. That's why I'm with religion with no consequences. They think none comes their way because God. No relation to Jamal. I love that he put no relation to Jamal in there. Because I call them the Bryant triplets. There's Greg Bryant, Von Bryant, and Jamal Bryant, the preacher. They don't want to be related to Jamal. But he's their brother. That's an assumption.
And
I digress.
I digress.
What I said was, Brother Vaughn, if you digress, please digress. Like, fully do the function that you're stating that you're doing. Now, what I said was, if with the way we're interpreting what God did, that would be a dumb God. I did not call God dumb. I'm saying if this is the situation that we're placing God in, that would be a dumb God. And I don't want a dumb God. That's literally what I said. I didn't say God was dumb. I said, if this is the way we're interpreting it, that would be dumb. The same difference that we've had on conversations with panels, and somebody says, that was stupid. You calling me stupid? No, what I said was, that was stupid. So we're having because of the feelings that you have on one side of the fence, you're not able to hear the words that I'm saying for the words that I'm saying. That does not change anything. I just want to point it out so that maybe we can move differently. So when I asked you, were you offended? You said no. Then when I pointed out, somebody in the chat also saw that you were triggered. You were like, but I have a right to be triggered. Well, let's admit first that I was offended and that I was triggered.
I did that, sir. So I'm ready to move on.
And that's what will happen too. And I'm using Brother Vaughn as an example. Hopefully he's okay with me doing that. I don't mean it disrespectfully, but this happens on a lot of panels. This happens in conversations. This is going to happen to some of y'all at Thanksgiving. You're having a conversation with your family. Then all of a sudden, as soon as there's tension, they're ready to move on. No resolution, no understanding. They just want to move on because people don't like conflict. A lot of people don't like conflict. They're allergic to it. But you can't grow without challenge. So if you run from the challenge, if you run from the conflict, you can't grow in understanding. You can't grow personally. So I had to learn that through my family. I had to learn that on the fly because all of the challenge, a lot of people, when they got challenged, they will run from the conversation Like, I'm ready to move on. No, let's just skip it. That means whatever faulty thinking caused the conflict persists. It still lives there, and it's going to creep up somewhere else or at some other time. We have to learn to get past our immediate feelings of being triggered to actually address whatever the discrepancy is. Otherwise, it's still there, just waiting to creep up at another time. We have to, again, I'm using Brother Vaughn as an example because it happened, but this is all types of conversations. Anywhere in your life, people that don't like conflict will want to move past it. But something I had with my nephew, he was like, man, it feels like you don't care, because a lot of times I would be like, okay, I would just let him have it. Like, okay, you got it. And I would give up on the conversation. And he was like, I feel like you don't care about me because you stop trying to explain after a certain point, because it just felt like it was too conflictual. It was too heated. But he felt like I was giving up on him. And some people will give up without the resolution. And it does not, we don't grow together because we don't come to a common understanding, which is why the language is so important. When I talked about the faith system, a standardized understanding, we need to have a common understanding with which to grow from. Because if we're not growing from the same place, we're growing apart. So that's important if you're trying to have unity or cohesion in anything. You need a common understanding. I told you I'm not gay. I just need $50. Just drop it, Grandpa. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. It is what it is. Everyone up there knew they were on cam. Okay, but we need to, before we can move forward in the conversation, we need to have grounds. And to have grounds, we need to have an understanding. If we don't understand and know when we're offended and triggered, everything else is going to be a problem in the conversation.
No,
and we can
I'm well capable of continuing the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm just as human as anybody on the panel. I'm very well capable of finishing the conversation.
Brother Vaughn, the fact that the way you're responding to me lets me know that you're not currently capable.
Okay, so maybe I should leave the panel then, if that's the case.
I'm asking you.
I just told you, I said I'm able and capable of completing the conversation.
People say a lot of things, Brother Vaughn, but I think we can see and hear the responses. We can feel.
Okay, so if you don't believe me, brother, I can't make you believe me.
I'm not trying to make
you know
you
what I'm
believe
saying.
me.
I can't do that. Like I said, I can continue the conversation. Yes, I was triggered. Okay, I admit that.
Okay.
I'm just like every other brother on the panel. So now what do we do? Do we move on or do we keep talking about it?
Well, Brother Vaughn, because here's the problem on my, and see this is what I couldn't get real time, because again, this is where I get triggered, because all of that, and again, I'm using Brother Vaughn. Forgive me, but I'm using you to illustrate something that a lot of us deal with in our lives. So forgive me if this offends you, but I'm going to use you in the moment because I have it available, and it's great. It's a great example. People will use like emotional manipulation tactics. I'm not trying to say he's doing it maliciously, but I'm ready to move on. I'm telling you I'm capable of moving on, because again, words can say anything. But the fact that he keeps interrupting me while I'm talking to tell me he's ready to move on, I'm capable of moving on. I don't know what I can say. That he keeps interrupting me to convince me to move on. If you were actually capable of moving on, you wouldn't have to interrupt me to tell me so. You could allow me to speak. You would be able to hear what I'm saying without it making you have to speak over top of me and interrupt me. You would be capable of emotionally hearing me say more about the subject if we were capable of moving on. But people will try to get you, they will try to force you into a place where they're comfortable. But for a conversation, everybody needs to be comfortable. And it's most comfortable when after the resolution, after you've had a common understanding, which means we have to talk about what happened so it doesn't happen again. That's important. So okay, what now? We can either move on or we can talk about it some more. I would rather talk about it some more, but he didn't want to talk about it some more. His option was, I'll just leave. I'll take my ball and go home. Either we can move on or I'll leave. I can leave. Do you want me to leave? Neither one. I want to work towards a resolution. I want to understand what happened so that we don't hit that impasse again. That's a problematic, but that's what happens. People give you like a false choice sometimes. Well, I'll leave. I'll abandon you and whatever we're working towards. I'll abandon that completely. Or we can ignore whatever conflict we had, which means there's actually no resolution, which is the most important thing in a moment like that, the resolution. Because if you keep working and working against each other, again, I'm taking this out of context because we were just having a conversation, but this applies to your real lives. There are people in your lives that you just don't have a resolution with. Y'all have bad blood, y'all have bad chemistry, but every time y'all get together, something happens. Somebody says something, there's a little shade, there's some passive aggressiveness. Somebody says something behind your back. There's no resolution. So y'all keep with the tension. All those dynamics happen. Thanksgiving's coming. Y'all know some of y'all are not looking forward to Thanksgiving because you know what's coming at the family gathering. You know what's going to happen. You know there's that person you got tension with. Y'all have never resolved it. You've never sat down and listened to each other. It might be the other person's fault, your fault. It doesn't even matter, but you understand. I think all of y'all feel and know what happens when you do not get a situation resolved. And that tension is constantly there, and it keeps creeping up. It creeps up in comments, the way somebody didn't tell you something that you needed to know when you needed to know it, and it feels like they set you up. They set you up to fail. That stuff matters. And we practice this in small parts during these conversations. That's actually a good point. I'm recalling a time I did that, and that feeling snuck up in another conversation, and it was more tense. Wish I had addressed it early. Absolutely. And that's the only reason I'm pointing it out, because this behavior manifests in all people. Like he said, he's no different than everybody else up there. We all have and exhibit these behaviors. We all can hold resentment or something that said, because trust me, he didn't just drop the fact that I said dump God. That's going to be a part of the rest of this conversation. It would have to be. Because there was no resolution. So you're going to feel how you feel. Anything that can trigger you to keep bringing something up, it's going to have a manifestation in other parts of the conversation. It's going to blind baby Jesus, baby Jesus, baby Jesus. What up, truth in the building? But I'm gonna let that play out some more. That's what I was trying to get to. But what happened is, because I recognize those conversational manipulation tactics, that triggered me. See, that at this point, then I got triggered. I couldn't move on because then I got offended. Not because of him, I got offended, not because he had a problem with baby dumb God. That didn't bother me. It was like somebody was playing in my face. Like I was being played. That's how I felt. And because I felt that way, I was triggered. So that's why I didn't want to let it go. See how long that takes with the bad pause. Channel space. This is an issue with me. I mean, I have what is it called? Intellectual dishonesty. This is a pet peeve of mine. Yeah, because you say you're like every other brother on the panel. Nobody else was triggered by you, so no, you're not like every other brother on the panel. So again, everybody in the chat, that's cool. This is on me. This is on Rashawn. And everybody was like, can we just move on? Can we just move on? I'm so glad I remember to say this, because this improvement, like, do we really want to get better? Do we come to these spaces and we talk about betterment, but nobody actually wants to do the actual steps of betterment. Conflict resolution is self-development, is maturity. But not everybody, but the quickest thing people want to do is can we just move on? If your entertainment or what you're enjoying is more important than two people reaching a resolution in a conflict, please don't be here. Please don't be here. Please don't. Go somewhere else. I can't stand that. Now, I get some people, again, just do not like conflict and would just like us to move past it. That's maladaptive. That's problematic. If you have a conflict, that's a problem. And if you're telling everybody to just move past it, just move on. That's the same thing that y'all also complain about when somebody has touched someone in the family and they're like, but nobody wants to call out the abuser. Nobody wants to call them out. Nobody. And they're just there every time at Thanksgiving. Yeah, because people just want to move past something. Something negative happened. Somebody did something that nobody likes, but we're just going to ignore it. Let's just ignore it. Let's move past it. Oh, it happened. It just happened. It's something we deal with. She's going to therapy. He's going to therapy. We're dealing with it. No. Let's Intercede. If we care enough, let's resolve the conflict. Let's stop moving past stuff because we want something. I want something. I just want to have Thanksgiving dinner. I just want to have Thanksgiving dinner. Can't we just move past this so I can eat, so I can have the food that I want, that everybody else cooked? No, you're not that important. Quit setting yourself up on such a pedestal that you have to get what you want at the expense of other people's relationships and well-being. Cut it out. If you can't handle conflict, you leave. Don't tell the other people to stop the resolution process. It's going to be uncomfortable. It might get uglier before it gets better. It's not always going to be pretty. But if you can't handle conflict, you leave. You leave. Don't try to tell other people to leave the situation, because it could have a resolution and they could both grow from it. One of the biggest things, everybody likes to talk about therapy, but guess what? Nobody likes the therapeutic steps. Conflict resolution is something that you have to do. Learning to communicate, learning to regulate your emotions. That's what you're going to learn in therapy. Quit telling people to go to therapy if you don't want them to work therapeutic steps real time. You're a liar. You're a stumbling block. You're an obstacle to real growth and development, because you want everybody to move past everything that's slightly negative, anything that's uncomfortable, anything that has some conflict into it. Conflict is necessary. Challenge is necessary. You're not going to reach growth without it. So please, that annoyed me to no end. And to the people that said move on, I understand. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything I've complained about. It's not about malicious intent. I'm talking about we need to understand why we do the things that we do, say the things that we say, because if we don't understand them, we can cause unintended harm. And allowing people to move out of alignment, out of step with their values, and not calling it out is something that we, constantly complain about, but then we perpetuate by telling people to just move on past it. Let's not talk about it. Maybe y'all could talk about it offline. We're here real time, where other people can learn from how conflict resolution looks. This is where people are supposed to learn. We're here and we can learn and grow from each other. But then as soon as there's a moment where people can learn and grow from each other, take it backstage, take it offline. We're just as contradictory as the Bible we've been talking about. We'll say one thing, but then we're doing something else. I really wish we could see what we're doing and saying when we're doing and saying it, but I don't think we're that thoughtful. As beings, I don't think we're that thoughtful. But again, I know that was a tyrant, but like there were some pet peeves that were creeping up, and that's what was triggering me. Like there was some little pet peeves and little like slight manipulation, and like some passive aggressiveness, and there was a whole bunch of little stuff that was just really irking me in. And the chat was like, "Nah, just move past it." No, because either one of two things: either you're conflict avoidant, or you're more concerned with what entertains you. Both of which are problematic for people that you say that you might care about. If you care about us at all, you either want us to have a resolution, or we're more than entertainment to you. One or the other. You got to let us get to the resolution. Now, Brother Vaughn was saying, I just can't. Now, this is like stepping into a place like, I understand that I'm triggered. Okay, I got triggered, but I'm not ready to talk about it right now. Let me have a moment before we continue talking about it. I don't have to threaten to leave. I don't have to ask if you want me to leave. I can just say, you know what? I'm not ready to talk about this. That's a mature stance. I'm not ready to talk about this right now. I did get triggered. I still feel a way about it. I'd like to move on. I just can't talk about it. That's cool. All that's cool. But there's a way to convey information that allows us to all understand that something actually did happen. Nobody's crazy. And we're also not skipping it over permanently. We're not just going to ignore it. We can address it, but I like to address it another time. Or I don't want to address it publicly. Or maybe we can talk about it offline or after the stream. There's ways we can handle it. But in real time, I know it gets complicated because emotions are involved. But we have to learn and grow to be able to do that. This is the safest space to learn to do that. Because when you go home and holidays is coming, Thanksgiving, Christmas, where you got those real feelings with people that you really know, that know your history and your present, and you know their history and their present, and know the mud that they sling is going to be real. When they talk about your kids, when they talk about your history, when they talk about who you sleeping with, when they talk about who you married to, that's going to get real. Those feelings are going to be deep. This stuff on the panel is play. If we can't learn to move past conflict here, the real world's going to eat you alive emotionally. So if we can't work on those things here, if they make you so uncomfortable that we have to jump past every moment of conflict, I know how bad you're struggling. I know how bad you're struggling with your real relationships. There's no way. It's impossible. It's impossible. Woo, okay. I know I was on a rant. I know I was ranty. You want to, before I hit play, you had anything you want to show me?
So you would say you were triggered then, right?
I was triggered. I was triggered because there's certain things when people like play in my face. And when I use the word play, again, I don't think people were intentionally. We have learned behaviors, coping strategies, and defense mechanisms. You've heard those words before. Coping strategies, defense mechanisms. When our emotions start to feel away, we start to move away to protect our feelings automatically. Learned behaviors, practice behaviors. Some of those is, oh, I'll just leave. Do you want me to leave? If this is uncomfortable, I can just leave. That's an avoidance behavior. I can just avoid the tension.
Yeah. Okay, cool. As long as you're willing to admit it. So that's
Oh, heck yeah.
that's why I respect.
That's
you.
it. I know.
Understand
Yeah. I definitely got triggered because again, I felt like I was being played with. I felt like I was being toyed with. So I really wanted to handle it. Like, oh no, we're gonna get this straight right now. But I mean, because it was like to me, I'm gonna tell you how I interpret those emotions, how those emotions get interpreted to me from my upbringing. You pushing me past the point that I'm trying to resolve is you punking me. I want to have a conversation about something that's bothering me, and you're telling me, no, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. That's dismissing me. Now I'm a punk. So that's how it makes me feel. It makes me feel small. Like, not what you feel about this, Rashawn, doesn't matter. Let's move on. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move past your feelings and what you think. That's how my mind interprets that emotionally. So I did get triggered. Once that came out, I'm ready to move on, or I'll just leave. If I have to deal with your emotions, I would rather leave you altogether. You're not important enough. I'll leave if I have to consider your emotions.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah. I'm saying I'd rather wait. Do you want me to? And then even trying to put it on me. That's why I feel like I was played with. And again, I know this isn't the attention. I know how people operate. So this is uncomfortable. We're having a conflict. Do you want me to leave? So then it's on me. Then it's even being put on me if I want to be abandoned because I have feelings. So then I've got to choose to have somebody I invited to leave. Like, imagine, and this is what I mean by what I'm saying, these principles apply in real life. People's parents do this to them. People's parents will come to visit for Thanksgiving or the holiday, and you'll say, but mom, I asked you not to give the kids something sweets before dinner. Well, I can just leave if you want me to. That's terrorism. That's emotional terrorism. But that's what happens in people's real life. Like, this stuff is analogous. It happens here on a small scale.
Right.
But this happens in y'all's real lives on a bigger scale. And y'all's moms and y'all's dads and y'all's brothers, sisters, daughters, sons manipulate with language. And again, not all of it's malicious. It's how they protect their feelings. They don't want to feel wrong. They don't want to feel shamed. They want to do what they want to do. And they would rather avoid you, avoid the conflict. They'll run away. They'll shame you. They'll guilt you. Anything to avoid dealing with the actual conflict and the problem. And that triggers me. Yeah, that triggers me. Because it makes me feel like how I felt again when I was a kid. It brings back those feelings. I feel like I'm getting punked. My feelings and thoughts don't matter. We can either ignore your feelings and thoughts, Rashawn, or I can leave you completely because the relationship with you does not matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Either we can do what I want, or I can go somewhere else to do what I want. But you, Rashawn, you're inconsequential. That's what that language conveys to me. But I know that's not anybody's intent.
Kind of let somebody know, like it's almost like you seeing the level of importance that you have in their life. Not importance, but like, yeah, like value.
Yeah.
And if you don't value me
Absolutely.
enough to have this kind of like to kind of deal with this now, because it's gonna build up to a bigger problem later.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
you. I in some weird way, I probably need to learn avoidant behavior Because I'll just jump right into the conflict. I don't give a damn who see, who looking. We gonna have this. You gonna know I'm. You gonna know I'm triggered.
Yeah.
So
now, those are important things to learn about ourselves. What's up, Mom Bryant? Those are important things to learn about ourselves. And Quantum in the building. Those are important things to learn about ourselves, because even though a lot of us are not aware of it, I don't have my feelings real close by. When people do things, everything a person does and a person says communicates. Everything a person does and a person says communicates. What it communicates is going to be interpreted by your experiences, similar to what we were talking about with the Bible, your personal lifestyle. Because Brother Von Eric talked about that. He said when we have part 2, he wants to talk about what you said about culture and state of mind. Because your culture, your state of mind, your upbringing affects how you interpret everything. So the same thing that Von Bryant that happened there, it wouldn't have happened with somebody else. But because of my upbringing and background, it triggered something in me that triggered my ego defense mechanism. And whatever I said about the dumb God, it triggered something in Vaughn. It triggered his defense mechanism. But it was on behalf of God, but he identifies with God closely enough to want to defend God's name. Okay. But that's a trigger. I understand it, and you move from there. But we have to learn. We have to learn and grow and understand from these points, because if we run from the conflicts, we cannot learn and grow so that it doesn't hinder, not even like, because again, this was here. But again, I analogize it to something legitimate that I know has happened in people's families. I know it may not have been your mom's giving your kids candy. Maybe it's somebody giving your kids money because you ain't want them buying. Don't buy another. Don't touch or don't have them sitting on your lap. There's something. There is something that everybody has had that you told your family members not to do it, and they chose to do it anyway. We all have those moments. We all have those moments. So this stuff is analogous because all of that makes you feel a way. If somebody does something that you've asked or told them not to do and they continue to do it, it feels like disrespect. It feels minimizing to you. So now you have to do something with those feelings. Either, okay, I've got to assert myself even more because you've disobeyed me or disrespected me, or some other, or I'm avoid you, or there. We have to all learn if we can resolve conflict and difference, because the other things start to become maladaptive. Or I gotta, like you said, Yellow, you don't back down from any challenge. So it's like you don't have any avoidant behavior. So you jump into everything, which means people probably avoid you if they're conflict avoidant. People probably would abandon you, or they ignore you. They won't answer the calls because they know if anything conflictual happens, you're never going to back down until there's a resolution. So they probably just avoid you altogether.
Yeah, they probably should.
So the people that you probably are closest to are people that either don't care about conflict at all. They'll get into a conflict and they'll battle with you, and then they'll be cool afterwards. Like, okay, you want to go get ice cream? Like, it's probably either those people, or they're people that like learn or thrive on chaos. They thrive on battle. Like, oh yeah, let's go at it. Okay. Oh, you want? Bow, bow, bow. Y'all bump heads, and then either y'all move on or y'all reach resolution, or maybe y'all just stay in conflict. But either way, y'all just don't move on. But it's conflict avoiding people. It's hard to stay with somebody that's conflict accepting. I don't even know what to call it, but you like some conflict. What's up? The world class is in the building. But that's important, man. We gotta, and it's different for everybody. Like when I talked about the interpretations of the Bible, it's different for everybody. Everybody's dispositions and temperaments is set up. It's set up by the way you were brought up. It's by your culture, by your experiences. All that is different. So you have to learn to interpret the communication, verbal and nonverbal, of everybody, and how you interpret them, what it triggers in you. You have to learn all of that. It's a lot of work. So when people are so quick to say, hey, go to therapy. Therapy ain't cheap and easy. And I've been abandoned by 3 different therapists in the last 2 years. So I wish we could say that, because we have ways to practice therapeutic language, therapeutic activity and behaviors. We can do that. We can help each other right here on a small, inconsequential level in these conversations that we choose not to do, but we want to send somebody to go pay for therapy. Let's take more money out of the pockets of people that have it the least. Go pay somebody else to do the things that we can learn and practice right here for free. I don't understand it, but I know it's something that we consistently do. I know I've been on a tangent. Woo! All right. So real quick, we're gonna skip ahead. Where was we at? We're gonna skip ahead.
Now you know how I would say you know how feel about that therapy stuff, but let me clear it up though, because I know that
Yeah, do you think?
sparked the conflict. That sparked the conflict over here one time, right?
Okay.
It's that couch therapy, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Like-
therapy. Oh, yeah.
like you said.
Therapy doesn't work.
Like that. Yeah, that. Right. Yeah, that, right. There's other ways than just sitting up talking to somebody and looking for confirmation. You know what I'm saying? So I understand, because a lot of it is people looking for agreement in why they feel the way they do, and not how can they not feel the way they do, or how could you do better about feeling the way you do. They just want somebody to tell you right for feeling that way. It's like a hall pass to carry. It's like a hall pass to carry the burden around with you.
Got you.
That's why sometimes people don't respond to the therapist that tells them, like, hey, look, you got this issue. Like the best one I could give is like how marriage counselor or something like that. Typically the person who the therapist might say they in the wrong, they leave. They don't come back. I be sharing y'all I be messing with them. I be sharing them like ads to weird shit. So I always fucking with them and sending BetterHelp ads.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing that blows me about BetterHelp is that you can change your therapist for free.
Mm.
Now, here's the thing. If I see it and most other people see it, they don't use that as a way for them to have someone tell them about them. That's why they want somebody who relates to them. If I'm gonna go to therapy, I want somebody completely different from me. I want somebody like Bree. Nah, Bree made me feel like shit. No, hell no. She had me question every decision I made in life. She not already told me I like to run a daycare. But it's other ways. It's plenty of other ways to do this shit. It ain't all one size fits all, so to speak. You good over there, bro? Has some technical difficulties?
Man, there's something weird going on with YouTube. So I updated the timestamps, but they're not all here. But if I go into edit video, all the timestamps are correct. But if I go back to the video, so I can't stand people. And Will. But yeah, so I had to go and pull out my timestamps from the actual description because they're not updating to the actual video for some reason. So let me just find out where I am now. That's so weird. Man, this thing is acting a fool.
YouTube, your YouTube is conflict avoidant.
Now it's been doing some weird stuff for the last couple of days. I've been seeing people like 20 views, but like 40,000 likes. I've been seeing like a whole bunch of little weird stuff like that, little glitches and hiccups. So they might be tweaking something. It's either my account's getting tweaked or they're tweaking YouTube.
I don't trust them. Period.
I don't trust them either.
It's the system. They behind the scenes, probably they making it happen.
Yeah. There's timestamps here. Like, I don't know if y'all can see this. There are different little chapters here, but I've updated them. And it's been acting okay. And they said hers been acting weird too. Okay, cool. So it ain't just me. They're tweaking something on the back and it's messing up some coding. So yeah, they're clickable.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you did, Bree. I almost took a picture for you. Because your stream the other day, it had like, you're actually one of the ones I was talking about when I was watching the one on Interview with a Vampire. It had 70,000 likes on my side, but I knew it wasn't translating to you. I knew it wasn't translating over. It was either 40,000 or 70,000. I can't remember. It was a 4 or 7, but it was one of those two. But I saw it on like 3 different videos that I watched, and I was like, that's impossible.
Because it's a glitch in the simulation, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everything is wonky. Remember, it's like if you put in an old version of GTA and the streets start blacking out,
Man.
and the everything shit ain't rendering like it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? The signal bad is they didn't shut down the servers.
Mm-hmm. It's all the way back.
Like, yeah, ain't no dedicated servers no more, man. The devs is gone. The devs is gone.
Devs is gone. Oh.
That's why I say either. That's why it's like they either don't know, don't go, just don't show up on this planet Earth for us no more.
Now, Greg, that's been a conversation for the last week.
Because I'm gonna say it like this: either we have, let's go back to the religious topic. Either we've been forsaken or forgotten. One of the two. We are probably as important as when you know how you leave your coffee cup on top of the car and you drive all the way to your destination. It's gonna be one of them. When the big G man get out his car, he gonna look on the top of the roof and see us and he's like, God damn it, shit. You know what I'm saying? Is like
the earth roll off the hood.
Yeah, just roll right off. Yeah, or just roll right off, one or the other. But no, it's like we forgot about. Like we was intended for something, but we've either been forsaken or we've been forgotten. Either way. I mean, yeah. Y'all will make a What do you say? Yellow will make a terrible religion, but a fantastic
cult.
Hey, look, because look, as long as y'all pay y'all dues, I don't give a shit.
See, came back to money quick, didn't it? Came back to money quick.
I mean, how else do you run a cult? They ain't cheap.
You teach people to farm.
No, hell no, we ain't doing that. We're not farming. Oh, hell no. We're finna learn remote working jobs. We're gonna be a comfortable cult. I'm gonna change the whole perspective of it. I'm gonna start a cult and we're gonna be living good. Like ain't no cult in the woods. We're gonna have like mansions and shit. Lofts and penthouses. Fuck that. I ain't living in the woods. I ain't built for that, bro. When my Wi-Fi went out,
nope. Because you said on your Thanos thing that you said you was gonna have a house, a little hut, a shack out in the middle of the woods. That's what you said.
Yeah, but with electricity and shit. Like if all that is gone, I'm good, bro. If I ain't, bro, them couple days I ain't had Wi-Fi. Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm gonna be out there, but like I said, it's gonna be Amazon accessible.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right. You did say that.
If it ain't Amazon accessible, I ain't gonna be there. Cause bro, what I'm talking about, I was like, I had that moment. It was like, oh yeah, life is over. If this life is over. I can't be the only one. Like I can't be the only one think like this. I think it's just modern humans. Just like the few will survive. Damn it, the few, the proud, the Greg Bryants.
The Greg Bryants. Listen, I'm gonna skip to the last one because I had a few other ones, but I'm gonna skip to this one because I have a point to make with this one. Because Brother Clarence is actually going to make my point for me. He's actually going to make my point about yeeting Jesus for me in an indirect way, at least part of it. But I'll draw the parallel. But this was towards the end of the stream.
There's things that we can control, and so we don't have to have, in my opinion, right? For example, cigarettes, and I no disrespect to anybody who might smoke up here, but cigarettes, especially manufactured cigarettes, they're more deadly than plane crashes, right? But that's actually illegal. It should, it's say on the pack, you're likely to get cancer, right? But the government, because they got such a big lobby, they can sell these things legally in almost every country in the world.
Man,
right?
Drew, what up?
But we know that cigarettes promote cancer in most cases, right? But do we have to go through that? Like most of us would tell our children, even if we smoke, we'll tell them don't smoke, right? But do we have to put the cigarette in their mouth and say, hey, look, I'm gonna give you the knowledge of, you got to get this knowledge on your own. So here, light this up, right? We'd be like Tupac's mother. Hey, smoke with me. If you're gonna go smoke, then come and smoke with me, right? Or can we say to them, hey, look, don't go smoke. You don't need that knowledge. See, that's what I'm saying. There's portions where I agree with you, Arshawn, and then there's portions where that logic runs out, in my opinion.
All right, so I'm going back to the cigarette analogy, because it was a good analogy. But he actually indirectly, on his Adam and Eve cigarette analogy, he actually is agreeing with half of my premise about eating Jesus. So and I need you guys to answer some questions. Around 21,000 people in the United States, was murdered last year. Okay, around 21,000 total. But there was a problem in our country that killed roughly twice that many people, right around 38 to 42,000 people a year. And it cost the country about $340 billion to deal with. Should we put more money into police to stop those 21,000 murders? Or should we put more money to stop the problem that kills twice as many and costs $340 billion? Would you ban weapons to help prevent murders? Or would you ban the tools that kill more than twice as many, or around twice as many people than weapons do every year? So I need you guys to answer that question. Would you ban weapons that kill around 21,000 people? Or would you ban the tool that kills twice as many and cost the country $340 billion to deal with? I need to know what you guys would do.
$340 billion. That's a lot of zeros.
That's a lot of money. And it kills twice as many people as murder.
To murder.
Yeah. So what about you?
I would ban murder.
Like ban weapons, because murder kills 21,000 people a year. But this other thing, the other thing kills twice as many people.
I guess murder's bad, but yeah, I would probably go with the other one.
Okay. What about y'all in the chat? Would y'all try to ban weapons because we kill 21,000 people a year? Would you want more policing or more investigation or more whatever tools to stop people from killing each other? Whatever you want. It doesn't have to be police. I know stop the police. It could be programs so people can have free therapy, whatever. Do you want to pour resources into to stop murder from happening? Or do you want to stop the thing, and you have to make a choice? Stop the thing that kills twice as many people.
How much do the Avengers cost?
The Avengers cost like trillions of dollars.
Okay.
Let's see. I mean, I oppose banning pretty much anything. We have enough people. Okay, well. Nobody's really rocking with my question. I guess nobody. Greg answered. Quantum said ban people. That's not. But I appreciate everybody's participation. It means a lot to me that you could take 2 seconds out and say A or B or one or the other. To the 14 people that couldn't take 4 seconds to drop something in the chat, It means so much to me. I love knowing that you could be present and just not drop anything in the chat at all. It's so amazing. It makes me feel so wonderful to know. I agree with the right answer. You know, you guys are the pit stain of humanity. I want you to know that. Here is the problem with, sorry, I stepped away from it. It's all good. This is the problem with acceptability, or known as or something known as lawfulness. Because like he talked about with the cigarette analogy, he says cigarettes kill way more people than plane crashes, which they do. Although he used the word, he phrased it. And again, I'm doing what Brother Clarence did to me. I'm speaking for him. He phrased it as cigarettes are more deadly than plane crashes. I can survive a cigarette a lot more than I can survive a plane crash. So an actual plane crash is more deadly than a cigarette, in my opinion. But the outcomes of cigarette smoking kill more people than plane crashes per year. So again, I'm rephrasing him like he rephrased me. Hopefully I did a better job. Hopefully he doesn't go live tomorrow talk about I said what I said. Anyway, but this is one of the problems with acceptability or lawfulness, because it robs people of their objective reasoning. And I know people were afraid of giving the wrong answer. You were going to give the wrong answer. I know it. Just because something is lawful doesn't mean it isn't awful. Okay. Think about slavery. It was legal. That's a big one. We always use that. Slavery was legal. Having something be lawful, it skews the value based. It skews the value based on a secondary point, a secondary variable that we don't consider. We don't say it out loud. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't apply other variables, but we have to know that that's what we're doing. So of course we want to stop murder, but there are things that we have that are lawful that kill more people. Why is that? There's a second variable. There's a second reason that we keep that thing around, even though it's more deadly than murder, than plane crashes. That we do the most about the least. In other words, we say that a lot about the conversations about relationships. We'll talk about why is everybody so focused on the 10 or 20%. We do the most about the least. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. I wasn't even trying to rhyme right there, but anybody that would have voted to help ban or fix or repair the thing that kills twice as many people as murder, you would be getting rid of cars. Vehicle crashes take the lives of twice as many people than murder. I wanted to eliminate Jesus, and people kind of freaked out about that. I get it. But if you look at the outcomes of Jesus, like he's good, he's positive, he's okay, he's acceptable. Everybody listed all these, like people talked about the cons, like killed so many people in Asia. They talked about Leopold. If you look at the combined deaths, murders, genocides of all the different groups of people who killed in the name of Jesus, it would surpass all those groups put together. The Holocaust, which that could be influenced by Christianity as well. There's so many, millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of lives that have been killed and taken out because of Jesus. And even though it's lawful, even though it's acceptable, it's still problematic. So going back to my thing about needing Jesus, it's still problematic. It might be harmful. Maybe we need a warning label for Christianity, the same way we do cigarettes. We're going to allow something deadly to continue, but maybe because it causes so much harm, it needs a warning label. Man's laws are trash for sure. Think about having the free speech to say you would ye baby Jesus. Yeah. I thought you were going heart disease. Car crashes and heart disease are pretty close in awfully people. I want to go heart disease because maybe not all heart disease is preventable, but we cannot have cars. You can type it in the chat. I'm sure you can type it in the chat. But it's estimated that 140,000 people die from alcohol-related preventable causes, which far surpasses the cigarettes. It's crazy. But, well, no, it far surpasses the car crashes. Excuse me. 140,000 people far surpasses the car crashes, but it's acceptable. It's acceptable and it's lawful. But it kills way more than murder. With 21,000 for murder, 42,000 for car crashes, we're up to 140,000 for alcohol-related deaths. Now, what Brother Clarence said about the cigarettes is 480,000. But we put far more emphasis on the deaths created by murder. The evening news is led with all the murder. You would think that a whole bunch of people across the country are getting wiped out by murder. Yeah, 21,000. How many more are dying from alcohol, car crashes, and cigarettes? And they don't talk about any of those, unless there was like a drunk driver killed somebody or died in a crash. That's it. But look how much we're focused on the least. We're spending the most amount of time on the least impact. It's a weird dynamic. The things that are really costing a lot of lives because we've made them acceptable and lawful and good, we don't look at it. And what I'm saying is we probably need that warning label for Christianity that says, like, it may promote self-righteousness, religious zealotry, and seeing others as enemies to God and worthy of death, because over time, that's what's happened. That's the history. It can be looked at. The countries that carved up Africa, most of them, I think except for the Dutch, were Christian nations, believed in God and the principles of God in the Bible. There's a problem here over time, how Christianity gets applied in people. So all I'm saying, we should return it to the manufacturer. It needs to be given back. It's problematic. So yes, I believe Brother Clarence, in bringing up his cigarette analogy, understands the principle behind why we eat Jesus. Because if he's saying we need to pay attention to the thing that causes the most damage, even though it's acceptable and lawful, he understands the premise behind why we eat Jesus. Because the outcomes from Jesus, regardless of his intent, the outcomes of everything done in his name and his religion, far worse. And go back again to my superintendent analogy. If all the students are failing, the superintendent gets fired. Superintendents don't stay where the system is crumbling. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. We understand these principles in all these other zones of life. But because we've made it a deity, because it's become a God to us, we have lost our reason that we apply in every other facet of our lives. So even Brother Clarence understands and agrees with me in some form. But because Jesus is a sacred cow, we can never slaughter it. So shit, I feel like we're too big here. This feels too weird. This ain't the right one. Where is that?
No, yeah, I'm finna say no. This is
Something's
this.
off.
We on the internet. We on the internet,
There it
and that
is.
didn't feel comfortable. Yeah, I was gonna say
There we
yeah,
go.
that was, you was uncomfortably close, and we are like hundreds of miles away from each other. But I just didn't like our
Yeah.
faces being like that. No.
Yeah, it felt a little close. It was a little, I felt warmth like this side. There we go. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna leave a recap there. Big ass heads and a big ass grade. Yeah, it was weird. It was awkward. But listen, I really think that whole I'm glad that Yeeted Jesus thing came up. I'm thankful to Mr. He said. I think we need to start looking deeper into the things that we say, think, and do. Because I don't think that we really think them out a lot. I don't think that we make connections between the behaviors that we do over here and the things that we say and the things that we think. I don't think we make a lot of the connections. Because again, most people really agree with me. If I apply this to anything but Jesus, most people would agree with. Most people would agree. But the way we live our lives, we live it out of accordance with the things that we really truly think would benefit us. So I'm glad this came out. A lot for me came out of it, man. So I'm thankful. I appreciate y'all for rocking me for 3 hours. But Yella, what are you gonna say?
I got a question.
Hey, hit me, man. Hit me.
New level of the thought experiment.
What's up?
So before we go back, like we are, like I said, bro, the kid is already put on. We ready to go, right?
Yeah.
But you know, quick mission status. Quick mission status before we go, right? What would you tell him instead of yeeting him?
What would I tell him?
Yeah, like if you could, how can I say it? This is
No, I get
if
you.
you could right, if you could tell him one thing that would prevent the thing that you wanted to happen, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to make sure he put in everything that he said that he was African. And he would have got rejected. If he always said that he was African, but converted to Jew, like most of the stuff in history after him, it would have got rejected. It wouldn't have got picked up.
I hate this nigga. See?
Yeah.
See? I hate you.
Yeah. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and African.
It would have been like, huh?
Yeah, no man can come to God except through me from Africa.
What?
Like, make sure he attach Africa to everything. Like, every single thing. Yeah. Like, France, Spain, England. None of them would have picked it up. None of them would have picked it up.
Definitely.
Constantine would have been like, nah. Next religion? Muslim, huh? Islam. Maybe. But if clearly African, most of the world would have rejected it. Or it would have been more evidence of how hard they would have had to try to fight it and change. There would have been more evidence that if he attached everything to being African, man, they would have to change so much. There would have been more evidence.
So he'd have just been cool, huh? They'd have probably just let him slide. He probably got to live out his whole thing.
They'd have just laughed at him.
He could have just been out here healing and just doing this thing.
Had his family.
Yeah. Chilling out with his brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Nieces and nephews. That's just yeah. Okay. That was just tell everybody African. I was okay. I don't have nothing. The question I had that earlier. I just wanted to make sure I asked that to you before we, you know what I'm saying.
I like it. I like it.
Before we load up the plutonium.
Yeah. No, I like that one because it makes me think like, what would discredit Jesus? And again, I'm thinking from the brain historically and how like it's at least for the last 600 years. 600 to 700 years. Being African would have totally discredited him.
So your idea would just be for him to discredit himself.
Yeah.
Okay. How? Okay. What would you tell him? Same scenario.
Okay.
Like Jesus becomes Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the win-win. Here's the win-win for everybody. Everybody gets what they want.
Okay.
Because
he died, he's resurrected.
Right. He died, he resurrected because you likes you some of the Jesus stuff too. You likes you some Jesus too. Yeah, right. Okay. So right.
Yeah.
Right. You like all the good things about it too. And there's the things you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
You like, you got your issue. So what do you tell him to prevent the things that you don't like? All of this conversation.
Okay. So what would I tell him to prevent the things I don't like? Like that was the African thing. Like if he was African, the people that picked up his name and tried to carry it forward wouldn't have done that because they're not about to carry the name of an African to propel their cultures. Like that was to prevent the thing. Like if he's discredited, then they're not going to take. So and just by virtue of being African, that's about it. Because anything else, guys, his gospel is almost pure. He didn't tell all the stuff that people did in his name had nothing to do with him. Like also the people that go to church now, all the stuff they do, they go to a church and talk about reading a book that tells them not to do the stuff they do, and they still do it. So there's nothing he could have said or done differently because he said, be meek, be loving, take care of the kids, take care of the orphans and widows, look after your brother and love God. What else could he have said? And people still like, nah. F these kids. So only way if he can keep his message exactly as it was, but just add "I'm African" to like every sentence. I'm out of Africa, straight out of Africa. Make sure that there's no way anybody could think about Jesus without thinking about Africa. That's the only way.
It says D-Bang. He removed them sex D-Bang.
Many of the citizens might have been Africans, but every time we see them frescoes and paintings, man, they were not brown skinned. The lower class might have been mostly African, working class, whatever. Maybe some artisans. But man, them Caesars, they were not rocking them deep tans, Greg. They were not rocking deep tans. I think we know that. Yeah, so that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, because his philosophy, is sound, man.
So you say that the idea would be to discredit him there.
That's the only thing you can do, to let him live and people not take it and run with it to kill people.
No, I mean, no, I'm talking about he get the same outcome. Not he live. Not as well, he ain't.
I meant past the baby. Like he got to grow up and to get crucified later on. Like he got to do.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he lived out his arc. He lives out his arc, but nobody is going to pass on an African in what we've seen. I'm taking history as we've seen it. It's very like white dominated, Eurocentric. It's very Eurocentric. They're not going to promote Africa. It's even said that they even like the globe is oriented so it puts Europe at the top. Like otherwise we would look at it inverted, like with the large. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's even. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if the map makers they have centralized and put Europe at the very top with the explicit thought as we're the height of humanity. I don't know. That might be a passive thought, something that nobody. But again, if you look at the maps,
it sounds a bit hotepish, but okay.
Yeah, I mean,
because brother, if you look at because I can translate it like brother, if you look at the map, right, spread it out, right. If you look at the map and you see that they have put the Europeans over us Africans for years, my brother. If you see it, they are miles over us because in reality, Africa is twice as large as they draw us on the map, my brother, because we cover most of the land where the brothers came from and where the brothers stand.
Mm-hmm.
Brother. But no, I understand. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And if you talk about that, you know, like the way Africa gets made smaller because of the way they make the globes and maps and stuff. Like
I heard
that.
Yeah. That's why I said it. I was like, Nick, it's one of those like cool. The
right.
Cheerios look a little different on the box too. Mm-hmm. You still gonna eat them bitches, right? All right. Yeah. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? But no, I understand what you said, but because that's why I do have a very specific question though.
Yeah, let me just make this comment real quick, because like this is my point. Like there are probably lots of Black and African and Moorish people who have done lots of things throughout history, but look at all the things that has to have happened for them to be forgotten everywhere. They seem to get forgotten everywhere. All their contributions seem to be forgotten everywhere. Eventually, the coincidences are not a coincidence. Eventually, how all of the Black people who led this country and did this getting forgotten everywhere. Eventually, that's that's a pattern that borders on a pathology, which is why I say Eurocentric, because we don't forget some of this stuff, but all the Africans get forgotten, wiped out, erased, or whitened over time. So I mean, there's something there. There's a there. That's why I say saying he's African. I mean, I know people. I know my so-called life, and Greg said they didn't care about all that stuff. Then why? How is it that the Blacks didn't rise up to take a lot of nobility, or why aren't they remembered the same way? Why do we only see when we look back through history?
Why they lose? Like what happened, bro?
I'm just saying.
What
I'm
happened?
just saying.
What happened?
There's something there.
Because if I can hold the Bears to the same, you know what I'm saying? What happened, bro? What happened? Y'all had the game. I guess we was just there. What happened? Y'all blew it, man. Y'all fucking blew it.
Yeah.
Y'all blew
So,
it.
yeah,
Man. We had a halftime lead. We was up 50, turned around, and history
Yeah.
been shit the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm. Like
Y'all
imagine
lose.
like somebody did something amazing. Like I ain't gonna call it amazing, but somebody did something notable and they're prominent in their place, like George Washington. Imagine trying to remove any trace of George Washington from this country. It'd be hard. Now we've had a lot of notable figures, but just pick any one, like Lincoln. Just pick any person that was notable. Just pick any one, and then imagine trying to erase every trace of them from this country.
Yeah,
It
I
would
could
be
say if they on
hard.
money. Yeah, if they on money, they definitely ain't going.
Yeah. How we see race is not how the ancient people saw race, but they saw color. They weren't colorblind. Like even in the Bible, 2,000 years ago, the one guy was called something the Niger. I can't remember something the Niger, and Niger meant black. They saw color. And the Bible says Niger meaning black. Black. Like again, that's a translation of what it was, whatever in Greek. They didn't see race how we see race. They didn't have the same feelings, but they felt something. Like human nature, if human nature has remained the same for thousands of years, human nature has remained the same for thousands of years.
Yeah. That's why they be hating on light-skinned niggas since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, man, I can't help it, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't choose this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, just gotta live. We gotta live with the card we was dealt.
Yes, sir.
Live with the card we was dealt.
But yeah, yep, it sure is, sir. It's in the Bible. I think it's in the book of Peter. I can't remember exactly. But Niger or Niger, because matter of fact, if you go to the Strong's Concordance, which they have like a dude that give you the pronunciation, it's Niger. Niger is how he says it. Niger. So that's in the Bible, man.
Y'all remember when y'all found that country in the geography book? It was like getting a cuss when you was reading out to the class when you had the book with a cuss word in it. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, yeah, I found some crazy shit. Yeah, that's because that's my father works for NASA.
They say NASA.
He created satellites that are still in orbit today. When people ask who created it, they do not say it was a black man. They say NASA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of people get lost to time. Their contributions get absorbed. And I'm not saying it only happens to black people. It happens to everybody. Everybody can get it. Anybody can get it. People are. So I'm not under any illusion that it's like, oh, black people are suspect. Black people get it. Anybody can get it though, because people are. And that's why I'm human nature. Somebody's got to pay for it. And if somebody's got to pay for it, it's baby Jesus. But you had a question, man. You said you had a question.
No, never, because it was.
Nah, come on, man, hit me. Come on.
No, because I was going for it's more elaborate to the same question because I was going for a specific thing, right? So I get what you're saying as what you want, but that's why I was giving you the scenario of everybody get what they want. Everybody gets Jesus. Everybody get the Jesus. Everybody gets the Jesus.
Okay.
Right? Everybody get the Jesus. Jesus for everybody. Sprinkle.
Okay.
Sprinkle.
Sprinkle.
Right? But without the bullshit. So it's like your Coke Zero.
Okay.
Without the sugar. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, like the vegan cheese.
All right.
That, you know what I'm saying, y'all was eating.
So you want me to adopt a safe Jesus? Is that what you're saying? Like
yeah,
to concoct a safe Jesus?
Like how would you warn a brother?
How would I warn him to not have his followers act a fool? There ain't no way. Well, ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
Okay. The only thing that could happen is if he was African. I'm trying to tell you. If he wasn't,
just make them null and void. Then basically, I got you. Hey, I ain't worried. No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. So basically, just the only way we got to go take him out.
Yeah. Now, if you want to, so here's how I would say he could be effective in his time period. He can be effective in his time period and everything can still play out and he can still be Jesus up until I say like the year like 200 or so. Like around the first few hundred years after he's like before people started taking off and doing crazy stuff with his name. Before it became like a church. Let me think about that for a quick second. So right up front, people were trying to spread his message. They were being martyred. But he could still be the savior. He still had to be the savior. Man, that's tough. Because see, there's nothing that'll stop the rest of the fools way after he's gone from bastardizing his teaching. There's nothing that'll stop that. But the immediate people, if he didn't have them prepared to be martyrs, maybe, if he didn't have when he said, be prepared to be persecuted for my name's sake. If he told everybody, like, hey, if they come for you, run. You know, don't take no L's for me. Don't take no L's for me. Don't hold no L's for my name.
For real.
That might have helped. Don't take no L's for me. Don't hold no L's for me. I'm gonna take the L. I'm taking the holy L, but you need to live so that my holy L means something. Now, if he had did that, that might have helped for a couple hundred years.
Okay.
Yes,
He'd probably had a better out. That makes sense though.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like, man, y'all ain't even got to do all that.
Yeah.
Let him know.
Get jammed up. Don't mention my name. Absolutely.
Because it ain't no, hey, bro, you ain't got to do all that. Ain't no interjection. So, like, when I answered this question, like, I really didn't have an answer. I was just kind of answering to see what you were thinking. Yeah. And I think when we go back, if we gonna negotiate with them, right?
Yeah. Do not negotiate with terrorists.
But see, no, because this is my stance on it, right?
I got you.
I don't like it. I don't like it, but you know, I see the problem. I don't like killing bugs in the house.
Me either.
I don't like it. Okay. But if I have to, I will.
Exactly.
Okay. And I know everybody like, I don't like it. Yes. If I see a bug close enough to the door, I'll scoop him up, chuck his ass outside, right in the grass. Because if I ain't gotta eat you, I'm not. So I would just probably say, like, because if you see people doing these bad things in your name, it's got to be handled right then and there. Like, the people need some reassurance. Because right now, faith is being tested more than anything. And I get it. It's supposed to be within you, but man, I would hope that the people get reassurance. Like some of that wrath and shit. Y'all got some more of that left? But for the believers, though, like, leave me out of it.
Yeah.
Leave me out of it. I'm cool with y'all regardless. Like, do what you do, but I'm just here to tell you. The Gita fire over here.
I think you just convinced me to change my mind. Here's what I think I would change it now. Because you're right. I would have a really hard time killing a baby. Because I don't even like killing bugs. And I even had it where a bug, like a beetle or something that lands on his back, I'll go out and flip it. Because I threw it out there, but it landed on his back and it's going to be sitting there like, and I'll flip it so it can survive. I'll kidnap baby Jesus. You said scoop him up. You scoop the bug up. I'm going to scoop the bug up. I'm going to scoop up Jesus. I'll train him up.
Let's do it.
I'll train him so that he's the Jedi he needs to be, and then deposit him back as a man with the sensibilities he's going to need to ensure my best outcome. So I won't even kill him anymore. I'll kidnap him, train him. He'll be my second nephew. He'll be nephew 2. Nephew 2. He'll have powers. He'll be able to make, turn water into Kool-Aid that won't have sugar in it, no high fructose corn syrup in the sodas or whatever we want to make. He'll be doing all kinds of
super
cool stuff.
sweet.
But
It'll
super
be sweet though, but it
but
won't
no
have no
sugar.
sugar.
Matter of fact, it'll be like a weight loss. Matter of fact, he'll make sweet drinks that actually help you lose weight. That's what you know what I'm saying. But he'll do cool stuff, but he'll also get some of the thing like, okay, this is some of the outcomes you did. I'm gonna show you this is what people are doing in your name. So when you go back, you got to make sure that you hammer these points home. No verbal jujitsu, none of those parables. Nah, you need to like hit them like nah. Don't do this. If I ever hear somebody did this, they ain't none of mine. Gotta be clear. Let's be clear.
Okay, here we go. Now, this is why I say you have. This is why we have mission control status. I'm cool with everybody as long as they don't push they shit off me. You right. That's true. So here's why I say this is why you always have a mission status before you leave. Gotta brief before we leave, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we just tell them to be more literal. Like say what you actually mean and mean what you say. Like, bro, look.
Oh, shoot.
You look, let me tell you. So this is how I will put it to him, right? Like, look, bro. Reviewing the speeches, reviewing the text, you were wordy. Okay, you were a bit wordy. Okay, it was heavy on the thee, thous, and those, and ifs and ands. It was a lot, right? It was your presentation was heavy on the ambiguous side. Okay, the people didn't really get it. The promo was a 3, right? The promo was maybe a 2, strong 2, right? They didn't know why they know why you're here. They like you. They like the presentation, but they interpret the wrong way. Some people think you're a bad guy. Some people think you mean well. Some people do bad things that, I say a bad guy because people do bad things in your name. You leading a heel faction and a babyface faction. So just say what you got to say. Like, make it a little more literal so you ain't got to worry about no interpretation. Because I think that's where the divide came in. You're right, with religion. My bad.
No, you good. You good. Greg is right, though. Paul is still a problem. I would just have to tell Jesus to make sure that when he appears to Saul, to give him very specific instructions about certain things. Man, I could influence all kinds of time. If I sent Jesus back in some Jordans or something.
Oh, man. We would be so evolved right now.
Man, we would be so evolved.
God, we would be so evolved right now.
Man. That'd be so crazy. Just send him back with a couple of weird things from the future. So that everybody well, surely he's the son of God. He has pictures on this square. He holds up a rectangle and things happen.
With a swipe of his finger. He's barely with the swipe of his finger. The image changes.
Convert the whole world with a couple pieces of tech. You know what I'm saying? Forget Jordans. Reebok pumps.
Oh, so we can be a little anti-gravity by the time we get
or the light up, or the ones with the light up soles.
We gotta put them on there.
Brian, appreciate you. Hope you have a good evening, sir. Yeah, so we can ready to wrap up anyway, too, man. Any other questions you got?
No.
Cool. Now listen, I ran over. I wanted to get out of here before the Says came on because they came on at 8 o'clock. Man, anybody? Do I have still got it here? Let me see. Hopefully Nightbot is still on, but man, anybody pull up over to Harris Tri Media Group or the Says. I think they rebranded to the Says. I think it just says the Says now. I can't remember. But check out their stream. I guess Nightbot is off duty, but dang it, I'm gonna have to update that because I think they did change their name. I'm gonna pull up the link. But Yellow, you got any last words while I look for that link?
No.
Cool.
Are you trying to? My bad. Yeah. Thank you, y'all. for coming through us and supporting Rashawn. Appreciate y'all coming through.
That is the link to the Says. They are live now because they moved to Tuesday because everybody was on Thursday. They're doing a stream called Pick a Side. So I do want to see what that's about. So let's go over there and show support to the Says. I will see y'all on Monday because, again, on that poll, y'all did say y'all want to see some of Brian Yellow. So we're going to do something on Monday. Got that posted. And I got to get in touch with the fellas. No idea if Von Bryant will want to be a part of the next one after this one. No idea, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I'm going to reach out to the fellas and find out when we can do a part 2 because I am going to do that because a couple of people who've been with me a long time, they definitely want to see a part 2, even though that was like one of the lowest ones on the poll. But I'm going to still do it because, man, a couple people want to see it. That was that important to me. So I want to do it. And it was going to be about the dumb guys. So we have to see. We got to see if everybody's going to be okay with that and talk about like the power of like culture and experience on how we interpret and understand things. So those are going to be the things that we're going to be in part 2. So hope everybody has a good rest of your evening. See y'all next week. Peace. And yeah, I'm just ending.